Hey everyone, it's Rye. I'm bringing you a new video. This video is going to be covering a much in-demand topic. So new patches out, all the bug fixes are sorted. We've done hot fixes on some of the overpowered stuff. And now I wanted to bring a tier list after playing the patch for a good while. And I feel like I've probably played enough to have a good understanding of how good every single civ is at this point. Uh, Unlike previous tier lists, the main criticism I've had is that a lot of people are not looking for something super concise. If they just want to see the end result, feel free just to skip ahead. That's totally fine. That's not going to be really what this is for. We are going to be ranking all the civs, and then I am going to be spending most of the time talking about what each civ does for those who might not know or might not be super familiar. So this is sorted alphabetically. And I actually did rank these ahead of time just to save time. So the order at which I put them actually is, at least somewhat thought out. Okay, so with that, without further ado, let's start. So we're going to start with a COD. So really quickly, this civ loves killing people. They get 3 culture, 2 happy, and 1 production from conquered cities. So importantly, that effect happens right away. So archering city-states as a COD is incredible. They also have a really early library, which is cheaper, so actually is very significant. And then their spearman has 3 move, which is really good, especially because that's kept on upgrade. So 3 move pikes and just 3 move spears in general. Super strong for classical war. I mean, that's the whole Goths thing. That's a lot of the Zulu early game thing. So they have that. It's really good. They're a really strong civ, one of the highest high roll potentials in the whole game. So we're just going to put them at A. B, Axum. I'm not going to get into like the weeds on what every civ does. If they're really good, I'm going to try to highlight them. Axum is someone that I feel is pretty straightforward. Their UI is bad. Their main thing that they get is they get their religion in all of their cities as soon as they found. So very good Liberty Civ, very good Piety Civ. So I think, again, they're just a solid Civ, so we're going to put them at B. They're definitely worse than a COD. America, nothing really significant about America, but it's kind of just like compounding bonuses that just equate to really strong, consistent games. So they have cheaper. The main thing they have is cheaper tile buys, and their units gain 1 site. So that means they get better runes or more consistent runes. That means they can scout their land a lot easier. Their pioneer synergizes well with going wide because you don't need to escort it. It's great. Arabia, they did just get changed. Their ability now is 1 culture and 1 gold from luxury buildings. So this includes circuses and stoneworks, assuming it's for marble or ivory or something like that. Everyone knows what the camel archer is, but it's notably worse in Lek than it is in vanilla. And then the bazaar, instead of providing all those duplicate luxes, now provides just additional happy for every lux worked and 1 gold. So the bazaar is actually pretty good, and they do still retain double oil, but the civ itself is just pretty shit. It's mostly a nothing civ. The bonuses are not significant enough to matter. Yeah. Argentina is like the pasture civ. So they construct pastures and farms, notably end farms, twice as fast. And this means with Liberty and with Pyramids, I think you can 2-turn a farm or 2-turn a pasture, which is just crazy. It dramatically reduces the amount of workers you need. And then, but it just, that, I mean, maybe it's 1 turn, honestly. I forget. Either way, the Gaucho is pretty good. It's a unique knight. They get flanking bonuses. They're unfortunately nerfed. They used to be uncapped bonuses. They used to be like probably one of the most oppressive units in the game, but then they got nerfed, so now they're capped at triple flanking. And the ability is lost on upgrade. But the main reason you build them, you play the civ, is for those workers, and then also for the fact that you get 1 food from pasture resources and 1 production from maize. So just really, really good. Really good civ. It's the kind of civ that you want to play wide. I think this civ is like better than a COD. So we're going to put them at top of A right now. Armenia, this is the mountain civ. They get 1 food, 2 production, and 1 gold from mountains, including natural wonders. So really good with wonders, but really good scaling in late game because their Darbus, which are these observatories, provide 4 culture in the city and then 2 culture on the mountain tile, 5 science, and yeah, and then the additional 5 science. So it's crazy how good this civ scales, but unlike Tourney, where you really value that scaling, in Lek, the civ you want to be like, you're oftentimes in NQ, you're trying to push a lead, you're trying to push an advantage, and unfortunately we don't get to see those observatories built that much. Obviously it's very land dependent. And I forgot the spare pet is just really strong. It's really, really expensive. It's 80 hammers for a fucking horseman, and requires 2 horses, but it's 17 combat strength instead of 12. And it gives GA bonus, and it can be upgraded forever, and it never obsoletes. So it's, again, just fitting the scaling thing. It's just incredibly strong. Assyria, a personal favorite civ of mine. Everyone that watches this channel knows how I play it, which is usually tradition, building a monument and teching writing so that I get a free library. Incredibly strong tempo, but what I love about it is the consistency. You always go worker monument or scout monument, in my opinion, because no matter if you're playing trad, you can still build a monument. If you're playing piety, you can build a monument. If you build liberty, honor, build a monument. It's a great honor civ because of the siege towers, just being able to zap city states, and then the royal library is it's a fine building. This civ synergizes really well with great library, because if you get, so your first library comes with a great work, and then you get a writer at philosophy, so that's two writers. If you build GL and cap and then put put both of those great works into the great library, that's 30 extra XP, which is just crazy. And so that'll boost you from triple promo. That'll boost you to triple promo easy. So it's very easy to get triple promos on this civ. And then all of their siege units gain 1 move, which is just awesome. Synergize amazing with Artie, move, set up, shoot, with cannons, with everything. It's great. Really strict, scary Artie civ. That being said, they're not amazing. Gonna put them in B, but they definitely have some weaknesses, and their bonuses are not as straightforward. Okay, so first coastal civ, Australia. Unfortunately, just not a great civ. There's civs that do kind of what they want to do, but better. They have a natural wonder gimmick, 5 faith from natural wonders, and then you gain 10 faith upon discovering one. That's kind of a nothing thing, the 10 faith. It might help you get to your Pantheon a bit faster, but it's not consistent, so I don't like it. The worker is probably the best part about it. It is the best part about this civ. 3 move instead of 2. Additional 1 movement when embarked, so that you don't need optics to now improve, etc. And then most importantly, though, it arrives with medic 1 and medic 2, which gives 10 additional healing to all units around it. Just that part alone is amazing. Like it's truly amazing. Scaling wise, it's so good. Tempo wise, it's great. And then the convict penitentiary, available at machinery instead of banking, and then provides 1 gold, 1 production, and 5 gold and production in the city. Requires no gold maintenance and is a lot cheaper to build. So it's a good building, but it's not like an amazing building. I'd put it on like the tier of like a windmill. Like you don't want to always build your windmills, but you feel obligated to build your convict penitentiary in this case. Except the difference is you really never build these, except in your cap. So now you have like what would normally be a useless building that's not amazing. I don't know. I think it's like an okay civ. It's pretty low. The bar for coastal civs is actually pretty high now. Coastal civs on average are pretty strong relative to each other. You'll also notice I have coastals kind of in their own section because every draft now gives you an option for a coastal civ. So you're either picking coastal or you're not. So now, it's not like you just have a pool of civs to pick from. We now split the drafts between what's good. Austria, I've done a ramble on this. I've played a ton of games as Austria. Viewers of the channel know I love this civ. I know its weakness. It's not amazing. Hill bias is really strong. Their unique ability is the same as vanilla, where you may marry city states. Really synergizes well with Petro, but it's a bit gimmicky, I will say. It's hard to use properly. I can't get into it in this, but it's hard to use. The Hussar, which is a unique cav, is like okay, it's fine. And then it keeps all the abilities on upgrade, which is actually significant because it gains 1 movement. And moving up from 4 move to 5 move is pretty dramatic, especially when clearing hills. And then finally, the coffee house. This is the main reason to play this civ. Comes early. It comes on leaning tech rather than economics, which is great. It has the same windmill effects, but provides another 5% production and then 25% great people generation in the city. So you can stack that with gardens, with leaning, and it's just great. And then it's obviously and most notably, it's so much cheaper. 167 hammers to 100. That's just crazy. So it makes Austria building these actually reliable. So we're gonna put that in B. Again, it's not nearly as good as America, but it's still a very strong civ. Ayubids receives a free burial tomb on each city you conquer. Workers construct improvements 25% faster. The worker thing is great. You can 1-turn roads with lib without pyramids on this. And then receive a burial tomb in each city you conquer is just really good, especially when you're archering city states or killing city states. That's just 2 additional happy. Cool thing about that is you can actually still build temples, and those burial tombs count as temples. So you can actually, in cities you capture, get double temple bonuses. So think like Feed the World or Religious Center or choral music or something like that. Like those bonuses would actually stack, which is really cool. Madrasa replaces the uni. An additional typical perks, provides 2 faith. That's nothing, but the main thing is you get 2 science on floodplains and 2 science on oases. The civ is desert bias, so it's actually pretty likely that you have these, but I just feel like in my games, I just never get good desert. It's usually just dog shit desert without much floodplains. So it's not very consistent compared to what you'd think. And then lastly, the Mamluk, probably one of the scariest knights in the game. Receives 50% bonus versus melee units, 25% versus gunpowder. That is crazy. And then it keeps that on upgrade. So it's just these calves just rip. And if you upgrade the calves, and then obviously it's just very, very, very lethal night attack. All that being said, still not that much of a good civ. It's very dependent on killing people, and civs that are reliant on like other people dying are just not super reliable. So I'm gonna put it in B. Aztec, I should not have to talk much about Aztec. Everyone knows what Aztec does. It's the exact same as it was in vanilla, except the floating gardens got a bit nerfed. Main strength of Aztec is the scaling is just incredible. You have to be on river to play the civ. But other than that, like, uncapped culture from kills is just crazy, equal to the combat strength. So like you take honor, you take this, you're getting like almost 100 culture for every landship you kill. Like that's just crazy. It's an amazing tourney civ. Floating gardens is great. 10% food in the city is just nuts. And then the Jaguar is kind of a nothing unit, but it does help a lot with scouting in the beginning. Jungle bias, pretty much forced into tradition every game, limits the civ a bit, but overall it's very strong. I'm gonna put it in an A tier. I think the other civs in here are just like a little more consistent. The civ always has happy problems, so just something to consider. All right, Babylon, very similar to what it is in vanilla. Instead of the getting it right, and you get the scientist of philosophy. You do earn scientists 25% faster, which is just awesome. The walls of Babylon allow you to greed a good bit. They're cheaper to construct, and then they give 6 city strength and 100 health. That 100 health actually is very meaningful if you play like a freedom build in the late game. Like those cities are just fucking huge. The main reason to play the Civ though is the bowman. It replaces the archer. It's 9 range strength instead of 7, so it lets you kill walled CS even on hills. So it's a very, very consistent honor Civ. It's a very consistent trad Civ. My best RD timing ever was on Babylon. So big fan of Babylon. They're going to be the top A. Belgium. 1 production from plantations, 1 gold from strats. Very simple, but so fucking good, especially because of how often you get plantations and how many strats there are throughout the game. It's just often a ton of gold. The Stade replaces the zoo in additional to the typical perks. It's 1 culture, 1 happy, and 1 gold. Does not require gold maintenance, and it's cheaper. It's a Civ that wants to play wide that has cheaper and better zoos. Like, I don't know how much better it could get for like synergistically. And then the Force Publique, it's a very good unit. It's a GWE that's stronger, arrives with drill, but oftentimes you're usually the aggressor because you're just winning the game. So you don't get to use them that much, but they're really good. So gonna put it towards the middle of A. I don't know how much I agree with my placement here. I feel like it's probably better. I'm actually gonna move it up. It's gonna be, yeah, we'll put it here. Okay, boars. So this just got buffed. So farms yield 1 food when adjacent to 2 other farms. 1 gold, an additional 1 gold at 3 farms, 1 production at 4 farms, and 1 culture and science at 5 farms. This used to be 1 higher, as in like it used to be 3 food for each farm, 4 farms for 1 gold, etc. So it just got a big buff, but again, it still doesn't feel all that great. The main problem with this Civ is that it requires insane border growth. You have to play Lib to settle all the land, mostly just to get all those farms in your tiles because you're really not growing to them that much. The opera house it gets provides an artist slot. It's cheaper to construct and 1 additional culture. I don't really like this one either. It's okay at best. The artist slot's nice if you're doing for 1 of your cities. The other cities are never going to work it. My favorite part about this Civ though, oh, and I forgot to mention, but like the boars stuff, like I said, the main problem is those tiles that you want to grow to are the ones that you're going to grow to last. They're just like the random plains tiles that you'd never normally improve, but those are the ones that would give you those adjacencies. So oftentimes you're searching for gold that you just don't have. So it does stink, but I mean, in the chance that you have like good land for boars, it's actually an incredibly strong Civ, very high roll. Now the Vortrekker though is so good. It gains 25% bonus when initiating combat against an enemy. It's a GWE, so you're not usually doing that. But the main reason you do this is, let's say someone's cycling land ships on you or something. You're holding with GWEs, right? Oftentimes, they're going to be pretty greedy because they need to break your line. So your Vortrekker could be getting a little low in health, and he's slamming like maybe like half HP land ships into you just to save, like to try to break that first 4 or whatever it is. You then counter slam into him and full heal. You kill the unit and full heal. It's like the best feeling when you get it in the game. It genuinely is the best feeling in the game when you do it. And this also carries for infantry as well if you upgrade your GWs. It's just, dude, I love this Civ. Like, I know it's not good, but I love this Civ. I know it's not good, but I love it. Bolivia. This is like one of those Civs that I feel like is underrated by me. I know it's underrated. I know it's probably better than where I'm going to put it. So just take this with a grain of salt. But I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to justify otherwise. So expending an artist improves the yield of mines with 1 production, and expending a writer improves them with 1 food. So the reason this is good is because you typically, like when you need to end with in the end game, you want to end with an artist. And then if you're pushing someone, you want to use an artist. But for the rest of the game, you want to use a writer. So it's a pretty weird situation. Typically, you want to be using the food on the mines, but you're not often working that many mines, right? Unless you maybe have mining lux, in which case it's 1 additional food. So it's like, again, it's really good in the late game, like in the super late game, when you're perma GA, pumping units, killing people. But they get a unique musician. It has 4 move instead of 2. And importantly, it can use GA or gain culture. And I believe this effect does work with the ability. So really good tourism civ, but mostly nice because it allows you to actually use musicians rather than just planting them. And then the Colorado replaces the anti-tank rifle, but gains 2 strength for every excessive 5 points of happiness you have. So it really favors being tall, which doesn't really work with the UA. But I've seen some really crazy stuff with Colorados where maybe you're at like, I don't know, like 50 happiness or something like that. And now that 50 happiness turns into 20 strength. So now you have a 50 strength anti-tank rifle that's just going to fucking like, I don't know. It's pretty demon. That being said, like that's a fun thing to do in single player, I feel like, but it's not very practical. All right, so Bolivia, I think I put them like next to Axum. Yeah, that sounds about right. Brazil, I want to love this civ, I really do. I just think it's trash. 100% more tourism in GA, and then generates artists, writers, and musicians 100% faster during Golden Ages. All units earn 100% of foe strength as Golden Age points, which is pretty good. Helps you perma GA. The civ loves Chechen. And then, so that sounds good. And then replaces infantry, 80 strength or 70. May move after attacking, keeps ability on upgrade. Like that's kind of pointless, but this unit is apparently very strong. I just don't know why you care that much about keeping combat bonus outside of friendly territory unless you get like generaled or something like that. Because you're playing Brazil, so you're gonna have massive culture. Like that part just doesn't make that much sense to me. But 80 strength for 70 is good, and it's the same cost, so that's a meaningful increase, especially when dealing with like tanks and stuff. And then the Brazil wood camp, which is probably one of the most heated topics of debate, available at bronze working instead of machinery. Constructed on jungle tiles, provides 1 production. That's all. And then he also gains 2 gold at machinery and 2 culture at acoustics. And importantly, now it improves the tile underneath. So that means if you use it on a luxury, it'll actually improve the lux. Problem is, those tiles are the ones you often chop for tempo. So now you're not chopping any civs, and you're really not getting that much benefit until later in the game. It's a weird, confusing civ. I've tried them a bunch of times, forced tourism, but I think the best way to play them is you just play them standard lib, and you don't really worry too much about that that UI, and then you just take the GA stuff and you roll with it, and you hope to have a good game. Like it's not that great of a civ. It's actually really bad. It's so bad that this is going to be our first F tier civ. Brunei. The main thing with this civ is their UI. It can be built on any coastal tile adjacent to land tiles. It gives 1 food, 1 culture, and 1 gold. Then it gains a production at nav, and it gains another culture at flight. So you always go nav first as this civ pretty much, which freaks the other guy out. And importantly, your melee boats can build this stuff. So, GLH actually synergizes really well because it's effectively kind of like a worker. So it's a really good aggressive civ. It fixes a lot of the problems with some like wide freedom or wide order builds where you run out of oil, because oil refinery it has gives to oil, and then it also gives a ton of other yields. So it's really, really good. But it's just oftentimes like it's a little too much, a little too late. But if you can pull off really good Brunei games, they're just kind of on a tier of their own. Bulgaria. This is a civ that I feel like I hadn't put a lot of reps into until recently, and I kind of realized that they're really insane. So they have a cheaper granary, 32 hammers instead of 40, and then it gives 1 gold to wheat and cattle. And then their writer slots give 5 signs. So Writer's Guild is just a 10 science building, which is just actually insane. Like 10 base science is Dharma. Like people take an entire reformation just for that. And then science buildings provide 1 culture, which is pretty nice on wide. They're a really good with Liberty Civ. Really strong tempo. Their unit is terrible, so I'm not even going to bother talking about it. I'm going to put them next to America. Burma. This is just a happy civ. Their cannon's terrible. Not going to bother talking about it. 1 happy in every city is just a great ability. And then their stoneworks is not required to have stone, but you can build it, which means it's just 1 base hammer, 1 happy. So it's 2 happy civ. That's all it really is a 2 happy civ. I think the civ's better than I'm going to place it, but I just don't like playing them. And I feel like every time I play Burma, I just seemingly always get bad land. So I'm just going to put them in C. Yeah, right next to Armenia actually feels pretty good to me. Byzantium, most people know what they do, but the main thing is they can choose an additional belief. So either follower, founder, enhancer when founding a religion. So that's pretty cool. Really unique civ. Their unit is meh. And then they're no longer coastal, which is great. And then the hippodrome, is a better amphitheater that provides 2 faith and 1 happiness in addition to the normal stuff. So it's a good, it's all the stuff is fine. It's just often not enough. And for that reason, we're going to put them in C. I love the Civ, though. Like, I'd pick them probably more than a lot of the B tiers. Like, I'd probably pick Byzantium over, Bolivia or Ayyubids or something like that, just because I like playing them. But I know it's not that good, so I'm going to hang them a little low. Canada, I probably am underrating the Civ. I just don't really value gold Civs that much because of how, like, luck-based they are in a way. We are taking so long to do this. Holy shit, this is going to be a long fucking video. This is not going to be 1 sitting. That is for damn sure. So they get 2 gold from camps and 2 gold and 1 culture from lake tile. So it's very high rolly. But if you hit the high roll, you are chilling. The Tim Hortons is a stock exchange, dramatically cheaper to construct. Didn't realize that. 200 versus 280. And then it provides a happy, and then all your gold tiles on river, gain 1 gold, which is just really fucking nice. So it's a really good scaling civ if you have pretty good land. But I feel like on Canada, oftentimes I get pretty bad land. I don't like the civ. I don't like playing them. Let's see. Carthage. This is a gold civ. The lighthouse only gains 1 food, so it's not that important. The elephant's really good, but if you're building it, you're probably getting warred. The main reason to play the civ is the free harbors. If you plant a city on the coast, you gain a free harbor, which fixes all of your gold problems. So it's a very consistent civ in that sense, but it's very inflexible at the same time. I don't like it. It feels about the same tier as Australia, though. So we'll put it there. Celts, I hate the civ. I don't know what it is. I don't know, like, I don't know what it did to me, but I've had good games on it, but I also just hate it. I really just hate it. You gain 1 faith if you're adjacent to a forest. If you're adjacent to 3 forests, you gain 2 faith. So the earliest you can get your Pantheon is turn 8, which means oftentimes you're in this weird situation where you're like, hey, do I take God King here, or do I take like a Pantheon that's good for my land? So I hate that kind of decision. I really hate it. It's got forest bias, which is really good though. The silversmith is pretty meh building. It's a mint. I don't know, I guess. And then the spearman is good. It helps with early honor stuff. Honor leaning civ, but I don't like it. So we're gonna put it in D tier. Chile. This is I've been talking about this unit a lot lately because it's in tournament. But it's just like the civ that you're like, it has that too. Like you always kind of keep asking yourself that. So let me just like read everything. So the ability, which is really, really good because it's effectively just gold. Claim all surrounding neutral tiles upon the completion of a fish boat. So that's like a ton of early game tempo because you don't really have to buy as many tiles. And actually it also gets you a lot of hills oftentimes in your cap or in your expanse too, which is just great, especially for like a wide play or like piety because you don't have gold that much or good border growth. So this is like synthetic border growth. It also receives a free admiral at compass completely randomly. It also gains you give enemy melee naval units. Oh, sorry. If you have an adjacent naval or melee unit, you emit minus 25 combat strength to everything near them. And that effect happens within 2 tiles of the thing that is allowing those two to exist. I probably botched how to explain that. But if you're not brain dead and you're defending, you'll make a trireme and put it in your capital. Okay? And someone defending will have minus 25% into you attacking into fucking like pikes and shit. Like it's so hard to kill this civ. Like it's dumb. It is so and then so like that itself, like if the civ like was that, it'd probably be like better than fucking Venice. If that was all the civ was, it would probably be better than Venice. But now replaces the factory. You only need 1 to get ideology now. Does not require gold maintenance for some reason. Gives 2 happy and an extra specialist slot. What the fuck? Okay. Now you're like, wow, this civ is like really good. Then like, the dumbest part is it has, without a doubt, the best unit in the entire game. The unit itself is a win condition. 85% strength helicopter gunship. In addition to the normal stuff, it can attack cities, it ignores Zoc, and has 100% combat bonuses against ranged attacks, including planes. This thing is fucking absurd. Like the fact that this hasn't gotten nerfed yet is ridiculous. I think I have at least 2 or 3 videos just on me abusing Chile. If you want to go watch it, like this kind of like feeling you get using this unit, you feel like you're playing a different game. Like it's as if you are playing with cheats on. Like that's what this feels like. You just run around, slam all the cities. They could have 100 strength. It doesn't matter. You take like 10 helicopters, you slam all the cities, you pillage every single fucking tile. The guys can never chase you down because you're just swarming everything. And then the only way to stop this unit is with mobile SAMs. And even then, those people that are attacking also have modern armor. So it's just like you're just always fucked. Like there's nothing you can do. It's so dumb. It's so, and then they might even have battleship coverage. Dude, like this civ is like the worst. They're either the best or the second best coastal civ. So anyway, China. Great generals provide an additional 15% combat bonus to nearby units. That is crazy. And then they're generated 50% faster. Also crazy. So you just gain a lot of combat strength from China. The paper maker replaces the library. It's a +3 gold library effectively because normal libraries are -1. So these are +2. No maintenance, so it's +3. And then the Chukunu is a better crossbow. It's weaker. So it's 14 strength versus 18, but it can attack twice. So, you move up, boom, 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 boom. With the general bonus, these things shred, like actually shred. These units can actually defend arty pretty well because they generate so much so many promos. Um, it's the problem with this Civ is that it's a completely vanilla Civ to Expos, and Expos is all about having a good Civ bonus to get like the gold is nice from the libraries, I will say, but other than that, you're playing complete vanilla Civ. So you have to be very smart with your gold. You have to kind of just force this attack every game. People are going to see it coming. It's very telegraphed, but it's still scary. So it's a C tier Civ. It's going to be right next to Canada, which is another Expo Civ. But my sweet Columbia, one food from lumber mills. They also gain an additional science at chem. Notably, I did not say they gain an extra gold. That is a huge change because instead of being able to be at like 150 gold per turn, literally, I have videos of this as Columbia on Lib in GA. Now you're at like 50. So you're not going to be able to buy nearly as many tiles, which is how you're growing to those lumber mills in the first place. It's going to be much more dependent on your land. I still think it's a broken Civ. It still has forest and plains bias, which is probably the best bias. Anyway, granary gives an additional hammer and gold, which is great, and allows you to send production trade routes. I think the production trade route thing is actually really cool, especially if you're like trying to build like a early Petra or something like that, because oftentimes those cities have a lot of food and not a lot of hammers. So having that flexibility is really nice. Also, if you have coastals, hammer cargoes they just go crazy. And then the Llanero replaces the Cav and is able to fortify, which is really good because that means that those defensive bonuses of the land actually affect where, like the unit. So, if you're on a hill, you're actually pretty hard to kill. So we're gonna put it in S. It's our first S tier Civ. It's just not going to be the best Civ in the game anymore. Cuba, really weird Civ for me to rank. I love this Civ. I don't know why. I just feel like I always have good games on them. Quickly, one culture per turn in your cap for every 5 culture per turn generated in another cap. So this is actually like not very good because oftentimes like it doesn't trigger until someone gets their monuments up and then they build their shrine or something on piety, or they have their it's just like a weird situation when this actually starts working, because you don't get it at 4. You do get 2 of your gyros at once you receive IDO and receive 50% less unhappiness from ideology pressure, which is actually pretty nice. The dance hall is useless. I'm not going to talk about it. And then the gyro is a GUE that's cheaper, 3 move, 44 strength, 176 hammers versus 221. So it's actually really good. And then I love this unit because it's effectively like you just build these instead of calves, and then no one can remove them. Calves are pretty squishy, right? Slamming into pikes and stuff like that. They eventually get worn down. These never get worn down. These are just fucking tanks, and they're just crazy at the time you get them. So I love the Civ for fact arty. I love the Civ for the late game stuff. The early game stuff is obviously pretty terrible. I'm gonna put in C. I just have good games with them. I don't know why. I just always have good games with them. So completely biased placement, but whatever. So first, new Civ, Chechia. 100% religious pressure towards your own cities. You get to choose a Reformation belief upon enhancing. Really good UA. Like, I actually love this UA. I think they are. I've had a perfect situation with this Civ. Like, genuinely perfect. You take Messenger on Lib, you get Stonehenge, you're really fast to rel, you get a profit finisher to enhance really quick, and then you spread really fast. I had like spread to all my cities, enhanced, and it still didn't feel that great. The mint is not great, and then the Czechoslovak Legion is also okay, not great. It's kind of expensive. It's like a weird Civ. It wants to be like wide, but then it can't use the merchant stuff, so maybe it's tall, but then it doesn't really care about the religious pressure stuff. The Czechoslovakian Legion requires replaceable, but if you're going to use it offensively, you don't want to go replaceable. You want to go flight. Like, weird Civ, doesn't have a bias. I don't like it. I think it's pretty bad. Gonna put it C. Denmark. This is like probably one of the most fun civs in the whole game. Ravaged through the last tourney. It was banned pretty much every game. Embarked units gain 1 movement, and then you can disembark for one movement. It doesn't consume them. So fucking crazy scaling ability. 1 production from fish is awesome. The Berserker is a pretty good longsword available at metal casting. Just really good because like none of them, melee units in general just can't don't get a movement penalty after pillaging. So these things will just like run across the world, pillage every single tile, full heal, slam. It's fun. I have a couple longsword Berserker videos if you want to see them. I'm killing Luca pretty much every single game for whatever reason. Then the Longship, which enables a lot of these Berserker attacks. It replaced the Trireme. It's got 6 move instead of 4. This also does work with GLH. So if you get GLH, it's 7. And then if an embarked unit is on the same tile as the Longship is, it transfers or it matches the Longship's, or it goes up to 6. So you'll get up to 6 movement on that melee. So you can disembark and you'll still have like 5 full move left or like 4 move left. So you can like disembark with like 4 or 5 trebuchets and just appear at the guy's capital and shoot it down on the same turn, which I've done before and it's so fun. It's such a gimmick, but it works. It actually does work. It's really, really cool. But you know, in terms of scaling, the Civ's such a demon. Really, really good scaling Civ. So big fan. Egypt, 15% production to Earth Wonders. It's good. Temples give 2 happy, no gold maintenance, which is just amazing for wide piety. And then the War Chariot replaces the Chariot Archer. 1 extra move is nice, and it does not require a horse, which is good. Avoid forest and jungle bias. Surprisingly, not desert, but yeah, good Civ, really good, really strong wide piety Civ. I had trouble identifying where I wanted to put the Civ, but I do think A is a good place for it. England, longbow, unfortunately, is just not good. The ship of the line is terrifying. 25 combat strength, 30 range strength. And it gains 1 sight. So it's really, really good, especially with GLH. It's so hard to fight England. And then naval units receive 2+ move. So it's very easy to travel across the whole map as England and just like blow someone up. Constabularies and police stations are built twice as fast and provide 1 happy. So that's always pretty good. Just like bonus happy if you need it, if you're wide or something like that. All being said, I think this Civ is probably underrated by me. I don't like it, but I've seen a lot of people have really good games with it. It's a very scary Civ to play against. I will put it in C, unfortunately. But I don't know. I think it might be a little underrated, but there's a lot of good Civs. There's a lot of really good coastals. Like it's hard to choose, but like I wanted to try to go for like even-ish rankings. And I don't know. It's hard for me to think about like consistency versus high roll potential versus like where stuff plays. So Ethiopia, probably one of the most flexible civs in the game. 20% bonus combat bonus versus civs with more cities than Ethiopia. So really good tall civ. Replaces monument in addition to culture, gain 2 faith. So really good wide civ. So those things kind of contradict each other, but overall, like the civ itself is just very flexible. You know, it's not a problem if you don't have a lot of land, you play tall, you're still going to get a free religion. It's not a problem if you have, if you're really wide, now you're going to get a ton of faith and you can do some like, you'll be like the first of religion. So it's, you're going to sacrifice the combat bonus. It's like a weird civ, especially with how like these dynamics often go. Like if you're Ethiopia, you're probably simming pretty hard and you're not going to go for like super early war, which means that someone else probably will. So oftentimes you're not even the most wide, even if you pick Liberty. And fighting with 20% combat strength is crazy. Their rifleman is just really strong. Ethiopia, you get to go to A. I think Ethiopia and Aztec are like pretty much the same strength. Finland, I had a hard time placing the Civ again because some of my best games ever have been on Finland. The main thing that they get is 1 culture from unimproved forest tiles, which doesn't seem like that good. But what it does do is it pushes your live 2 policy ridiculously fast, which is usually the determinant for if you're going to have a good game or not. So you can push live 2 like ridiculously quick. And if you have like, forest deer or something like in your capital, it's just the best. Sauna's kind of nothing building, and then the sissy is a machine gun that is okay. I don't really like this unit. Honestly, this bazooka, because all the bonuses are kept on upgrade, and it can attack twice on upgrade, so it's like probably fucking crazy bazooka civ. But the sissies themselves are like fine. They're really They're mostly tanks. Like they're very, very tanky units. They're not super scary. But they do pretty well into land ships because you have like range on your side. But I don't know. It's like if you care enough, look at the UU and just look at how many different bonuses it has. It's got a plethora of shit, but it just feels like none of those are actually like super impactful. All that being said, the Civ is still very consistent for Lib. Scary Civ to play against because of just the tempo it can generate. We're gonna put this in B tier. France just had a really crazy game with France. The 1 culture is probably in your capital is probably like one of the biggest buffs, like one of the biggest like impacts in the whole game. And then this turns into plus 15 when you get acoustics, which is just awesome. Theming bonuses are doubled, which is, I guess, okay. I don't know. The main reason to play the Civ though is the chateau. 2 science, 2 culture, 1 gold, increasing by 1 gold, 1 culture, and 2 gold at flight, and 1 science after adopting free thought. Provides the same defensive bonuses as a fort, which is awesome. And then it must be constructed to a luxury, but not adjacent to another chateau. So it is such a good UI, but it's hard to find time to or find a way to work them without having excessive food in your cap or in the city. So it's a weird bonus because oftentimes you feel like you're capping yourself by working them. But the way I think about it is like working this tile is effectively just creating an extra pop because the yields on it are so insane that it's as if I have another pop on me. Overall, the Civ is just really strong. One of the best honor Civs in the game. One of the best Liberty Civs. It's pretty good for trad because of like the tourism stuff. The Musketeer makes you pretty defensive for Artie. You'll still lose to Arties, but it's pretty good. I think it's an A tier Civ, which might be controversial to some people, but I don't know. Frank's really boring Civ, 1 faith. They actually got a new ability where it's 25% extra movement when traveling on long roads, which is actually pretty good. Like that allows you to reinforce really easily. Their meat haul actually also is really good. 3 happy instead of 2, and then 1 bonus culture. And then it's less hammers to produce, and then no gold maintenance. So it's actually just like it's like these are buildings you're always building on every single thing. So like it's actually pretty good. The longsword is really defensive because it starts with cover 1, which is just awesome. So it's easy to get cover 2 longswords, which is just super strong. And because it comes at steel, or it comes at chivalry instead of steel, consolidates the amount of techs you need, which is awesome too. 1 faith from farms is like kind of nothing. The Civ like on paper like sounds pretty good. Oftentimes I feel like you just like are having a pretty mediocre game whenever you're playing them. Nothing special, very boring. C tier. Goal. So they get a free wall in their cap when you get mining. The wall gives 1 hammer, 1 happy, and then once you get to metal casting, it's 1 additional hammer. The noble swordsman is fine, and it has forest bias. Overall, it's a good tempo Civ. It's really good for Liberty because you want a lot of these walls. You're very, very defensive. So we'll put it in B. It used to be a lot better, but I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of lost its flavor for me. Georgia, the civ is actually working now, which is fun. So buildings unlocked with religious beliefs like a pagoda or a mosque or a synagogue or something like that, you can actually build with production, and then they cost 50% that amount of faith. So if it costs 130 faith to buy a pagoda, it's going to cost you 65 hammers to build. So it's actually super efficient buildings because they also provide 2 production. So this civ has like a lot of really, really, really cool potential. I just feel like it's like one of those civs that's really hard to kind of get a tune for because it hasn't been played much. I think this civ is so underrated. When it first came out, I thought it was like going to be like one of the best civs in the game. And I still feel like it has that potential. It's just hard to find like a weird thing. The wall is actually a really cool addition too because it provides 3 faith and then 1 culture from strats. So oftentimes I usually build this in like my first expand to get a pantheon and push my lib. It's like a kind of a monument almost. The sword is good. It arrives at guilds, which allows you to go crossbows. So it's like a weird civ and wants to go crossbows. I think it's like the ideal for it is it goes like lib messenger, kill someone with crossbows, sim out with like weird buildings. Like I think that's kind of like the MO for it. I don't know. It's probably better than where I'm gonna put it, but I'm gonna put it in A, low A. But I could totally see this being like a high A S tier civ, just if once people get enough reps on it and try to figure it out. Germany, probably one of my favorite civs. I love Germany. I think it's so good. It's got 1 science, 1 production from workshops, windmills, factories, and hydro plants, and it can get engineers 33% faster, which is really important. The Hans is the main reason to pick it. It replaces the bank, and it gives you 5% production in the city for every trade route your empire has. The problem with Germany, and I'm not going to talk about the Panzer. The Panzer is really good, though. The problem with Germany, okay? The problem with Germany is that if there's a Germany in the game, regardless how well they're doing, you always embargo city-states. You have to. If you don't, you will probably lose to Germany. Germany warps the whole game in a way where like everything has like the Congress, which usually isn't that important. And I think this is the problem is that the Congress isn't like too important in Civ 5. But when Germany's in the game, it becomes the most important thing. So it warps the whole game around it. So if you're playing with competent people, you're always going to have that fucking blocked. Until people start dying and you retain the CS, then you can unblock it and then you'll have to resend them out. But if you can do that, your hammers are just going to go fucking bonkers. I still love the Civ. I've had a lot of really fun tradition civs on this game, tradition games on this Civ, just because of the engineer generation. I think it's a C tier Civ, just because of that Congress interaction. But again, I love playing them. All right, so probably one of my hottest takes on this whole thing is going to be with this Golden Horde placement. I've played a lot of Golden Horde games, and only one of them ever has been bad. Units are 50% more effective at intimidating city-states. I'm not going to tell you all the math for this, but I would go into IGE and just try to test out how much you need to tribute as Golden. It's really not much. It's insane. The main reason to play the Civ is the puppeted city-state bonus. Puppeted city-states provide 50 production, 50% gold, 50% science, and generate 33% less unhappiness. That is the most bonus that exists in the game. Full stop. You will never find a Civ with as much bonus to anything as Golden Horde gets to puppets. On numbers alone, that is insane. Now, because of a bug where a building was not able to be built because it was a unique building, such as the Yam route for Golden Horde, now to fix it, he said, why don't we have the Yam route be built first every single time? So instead of building like walls or whatever first, which would be a complete waste, now all your puppets are always going to build Yam routes first. The Yam route allows you to airlift and gives you 3 base signs, which is just absurd. So this Civ can have probably some of the highest high roll potential in the entire. I think it actually is the best high roll Civ. Full stop. Maybe Spain, probably Spain, but on like without including natural wonders and stuff, this is the best high roll Civ in the game. I love this Civ so much. They're so fun. Their Ulan is great. The only problem is if you kill a desert city, it's never going to grow because it'll always prioritize gold focus. It'll always go on gold focus, and it'll always work the gold like desert incense instead of actually the tiles you want it to work, which is a complete waste. But these things generate so much gold. Like I think, like I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's just the modifiers are insane. I leave them puppeted like pretty much forever. Like I only build a courthouse when I absolutely need to. Like because it just makes you so much science and so much gold. Like as long as you're spawning scientists like elsewhere, you don't need the cities until you need the units. So it's amazing. I love it. This is an S tier Civ. Goths, dramatically overrated Civ in my opinion, but I have to respect them. One melee and gunpowder units receive 1 movement. So importantly, this works for your initial warriors you get from honor or the initial warrior you get instantly. The unit is kind of shit, and then in the grand scheme of things, and then the improvement's actually really good. It must be adjacent to a Lux, and not. It's the same as a chateau placement, but it provides 1 hammer on mining, then another production on ironworking, another production on gunpowder, and another production on dynamite. So crazy good hammer Civ. This is like if skirmish was a Civ, it would be Goths. We're gonna put in B tier because it kind of just turns every game. It warps the whole game, kind of like how Germany does in a way, where everything's about the Goth player. We're gonna talk about Zulu eventually, maybe in like 3 days, based on how long this is going. But yeah. Dude, how much do I? Oh fuck me. Greece. So I think I'm not going to talk much about the Civ because I don't really know them that well. I think they're pretty bad. Their Hoplite is the only reason most people play it. 13 strength versus 11. And then you can actually multi-steal on Greece without getting punished, I think, because it counteracts the bonuses that the penalty for multi-stealing, which is actually a really big tempo play. But again, it requires really good city-state placement. The Hoplite is really good for early war. It's really defensive. And the Odeon is just honestly a good building. But it's just, again, it feels very similar to like the Civs I'm going to put it around, where it just feels like it's just not enough. Like Arabia. Like I think it's like very similar to Arabia in that way. So we're going to put it in C or in D tier. Hittites, a personal favorite of mine after winning the tournament with it. But 1 gold from mines, really good bonus. And then this turns into plus 3 gold when adjacent to at least 3 other mines. So, and you start with mining. So it's a really good scaling Civ because you get a ton of gold generation for free. It synergizes incredibly well with Order, which often has gold problems, but now you're going to be working a ton of mines. So it's just really, really good. Anti-freedom in that same way. It's also a good wall. 2 gold, 2 culture, and it's cheaper to build, so it's pretty good. And then the heavy chariot is okay. Overall, I think Hittites is fine. It's not great. I acknowledge it's not great, but I like playing them because I have good memories with them, but they're not amazing. It's like a very middling Civ, but I think it's pretty strong in the right context, and it scales really well. Very defensive too, if you're worried about that. Like probably the most defensive Civ other than like Shoshone. Hungary. The main reason to play the Civ is the palace. So you obviously start with the palace, but you can actually build another one. which provides all the same bonuses that Palace normally provides. So 25% faster to great people gen, 10% fast, 10% production towards buildings. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing building. The walls, castles, arsenals give one culture, one production, which just kind of is pointless to me, but whatever. And then the arquebusier is so good. It's a musketman that has a ranged attack, and it's cheaper to produce. So it's actually really, really strong. And it's one of those units that there's no way to stop it eventually. Like, it eventually will break through. But it's going to be really slow, really grindy, not very efficient. So by the time you get to them, they're going to have calves, in which case it starts losing. You can arty and stuff like that. And then are you going to follow them? Well, then what was the fucking point? So it's a weird civ. It does feel, if the Hungary player is ahead and then they go up these units and the other person does not have like muskets of their own, there's nothing that they can do. You will die 100% of the time. It is just, it's brutal. Huns no longer, this is a nerf to Huns, no longer starts with animal husbandry, but gains one production from pastures. That's all the same. And then replaces the stable, now provides an additional 2 base faith. And the horse archer is the same. Overall, I think Huns is good. It's still a good civ. It's just not amazing. I'm going to put it right next to the other stable civ, or the other pasture civ, sorry. But I don't think it's an S tier civ anymore, which stinks. Inca, Inca ignores terrain, ignores the cost of moving through hills, so it's just as if it's more through normal terrain, which is amazing. And then another really good benefit is the hill. You rode pretty much every hill, and you don't have to worry about the cost. So it's like a really good gold civ. The terrace farms are kind of useless oftentimes, but on this map, they're actually pretty good. There's a lot of really good, there's a lot of interesting mountain spawns now, mountain generations. One of which actually just fucked my tourney game, but that's a different problem, I guess. Anyway, so the terrace farms are actually kind of good. Like, you might have, like, if you're playing Lib, you might have like 4 or 5 really good terrace farm tiles, which is like something because you build them right away. And then it's mostly like you gain a lot of tempo, like using the settler movement through on hills and stuff like that. So it's similar to America in that way, but it scales a lot better. Slinger's bad. Hill bias is great. S tier civ, absolutely. It's gonna be the best civ in the game right now, at least from what we've ranked so far. India. So I played a bunch of India. I think the civ is insane if you can survive the early happy, which is, in my opinion, no offense to anyone, but it's purely a skill issue if you cannot, frankly. So if you can survive that early game, it's the best scaling civ in the game. Full stop. It synergizes incredibly well with New Order. I haven't talked about this yet, but a lot of the context behind these rankings are going to be dependent on the ideology changes. So the meta has slowed down a lot because Order is so good and Auto got a nerf. So with that in mind, like, crossbow civs and early war civs aren't going to be as strong as scaling civs and scaling civs that like get some sort of bonus leading up. Now if the civ says like nothing, like Arabia or Greece or whatever, like, it's still going to be bad. But like a civ like Canada or whatever, maybe it's higher in a more auto-focused aggressive civ, if that makes sense. The Mughal fort, anyway, back to India. The Mughal fort is one of the best buildings in the whole game. It's a castle. Does not require walls. Provides 4 culture, which is crazy, and then 2 tourism. Crazy. The civ is built for Neuschwanstein. The war elephant is just ridiculous. It's so crazy. The main reason the civ is so good now, the main reason, okay, is that it lost its grassland bias. That bias is so bad. and now it doesn't have it, and now it's an amazing civ. Easy A tier. Easy A tier. Easy A tier. That's gonna. A lot of people will be surprised about that, but okay. Indonesia. There was a bug that made them good, and then they removed the bug, so now it's back to being shit. No long. It gets 2 copies of each of its unique luxuries if it's founding cities on separate land masses, which means islands. Trash, like forcing to settle islands, is not a good spot to be in. The happy's good, but that's not a good spot to be in. The candy is a good garden. Like it is a good garden. It's 2 faith, and then it doesn't need fresh water, and it's cheaper. So it's actually pretty good, especially for coast, because oftentimes you're on coast, you're not settling a lot of garden cities. The faith is like pretty insignificant, but whatever. And then the Chris Swordsman's bad. So overall, the Civ is like awful. It's actually the worst. I think the Civ's the worst Civ in the game right now. It's not consistent. The bonuses are pretty small. The garden is like the best part, but if you want, like other good garden Civs are not that good, and this is coast. So and you're comparing it with like all the other coastals, which are cracked. So hard to compete for little old Indonesia. Ireland, kind of again really boring Civ. Happy from all national wonders is okay, I guess. Cities receive a 15% production bonus towards building required for national wonders. That's really good. Like that's your monument. That's your amphitheater, your market, workshop. The rifle is actually crazy. Like this rifle is a nut. This is the best rifle in the game, absolutely, and it is not even close. 40 strength versus 34, but 110 hammers. So you can never die at RD to this Civ, which is very good. And then the zoo provides 3 food, no gold maintenance. It's good. Like it's all good. I think it's all good. Like this feels very similar to Frank's to me in a lot of ways, except Frank's is probably a bit better. Okay. So just think about that. So like I'm going to put them right next to Frank's. But Frank's is like they're very, very similar. Except this is more like late game focus, is more early game focus, which means Frank's is probably just better. So I don't know. Anyway. C tier. Iroquois. I played a good amount of Iroquois lately, and the more I play them, the more I kind of figure them out and how to play certain starts. And the more I just kind of learn to appreciate how good they are and what they kind of want to be doing. They're one of the best defensive civs. You know, it's a weird situation because oftentimes you want to play them wide and you're like, well, if I'm not chopping anything, is that good for my game? Oftentimes because of the settler movement being so good, because you're not chopping and you can cross rivers and stuff like that without penalty if you've got like a forest connecting you. It's like sneaky really good. And your game feels really fast because you're settling so quick. And then the Mohawk Warrior allows you to just pretty much never be killed until maybe crossbows, but even crossbows we're gonna have a hard time because there's so much fucking forest. It's forest bias, which is really good. The workshop's great, gives 1 hammer to all forest tiles, which is why you're not forest and jungle tiles, sorry, which is why you're not chopping. And then it's also cheaper. 50 hammers. I don't know. I think Iroquois is really good. I don't even know where I put him. I think I put him in B. Yeah. Oh, they're better than Axum. And Assyria. And Austria. I think Iroquois is really good. That might be a little too low, honestly. Israel. It's got 1 culture from pastures, which is meh. The Maccabees bad. And then the National College is really unique. You can buy it with faith for 260 gold or 300 gold, and you have to buy it. So, it's like a good cog civ because of that, but there's no such thing as a good cog civ. So, there's that. D tier. Italy. Love Italy, except if Italy didn't have bad land bias, I think it would be so much better. But every single game I've ever played and anyone has ever played on Italy, it has had the worst land imaginable. What does Italy do? One culture from specialists, and you receive 200 Golden Age points upon completing a policy tree. If you're already in a Golden Age, it extends it by 3 turns. So this is really good for Liberty because if you are in GA, you chain, go up to 16. This will boost you to 19 turns, which is just great. The Pittore replaces a great artist. And then GA started by Pittore, or it lasts for 9 turns over 6. And then it'll scale up to 14, which is just awesome. But no, not any further, which is kind of unfortunate. But any more than that, it's honestly overkill. And then the Basilica is a better museum and available at industrialization. So, and it provides 20% GP gen and 2 artist slots. So it's just really good. Like, this is an amazing tourism civ because of the amount of artists you can generate and the amount of time you're going to be in GA. It's very similar to Tibet, and my it's going to be a B tier civ because of the bad land bias. There is no actual bad land bias, but it does just seem like every single time anyone is ever playing Italy, they have some dog shit land. And I'm not even just saying that. If you ask any Lekmod player, they will all say Italy has the worst land in the game. It just always happens like that. Like, for whatever reason, Italy is just always in the worst, has the worst land. My rating of Tibet has gone up dramatically since the last time I've done one of these, so they're very similar to Tibet. Japan. Units fight at full strength even when injured. Really good. 1 culture from fishing boats. Really good. 2 culture from atolls. Really good. Dojo, one of the best buildings, full stop, for scaling purposes. It is a barrack that provides 2 science and grants units an additional 10% combat bonus. Land units, an additional 10% combat bonus. The samurai, we don't really need to talk about. It's pretty good, but longswords in general are not great. So samurai, though, it can be kind of crazy because if you have, let's say you have an armory, you can take triple shock because they start with shock. So you take triple shock, and with the dojos, an extra 10% combat bonus. If you get like triple flanking, you can 1-shot crossbows on flat, which is pretty fucking crazy. So it can be a really good unit, but again, my point still stands with that. Japan overall is a slightly above average coastal. I'm going to put them in A. They scale really well, but oftentimes it just feels like there's just a lot more glamour and glitz with the other states. Also, Japan has this weird interaction where often you are you're just in this weird spot where your culture is too fast with God of the Sea. So then you're like, do I take God of the Sea or do I take fishboat hammers? And then if you take fishboat hammers, you aren't going to have a religion. It's just like a weird interaction. If you take seafood rituals, you kind of are in the same spot as God of the Sea. I don't know. Japan has like too much culture because you want to enter commerce, you want to enter Explo oftentimes, and your tech path has to be different. Japan loves great library, but yeah. Okay, Jerusalem. 1 faith from luxury resources. So this is a way to guarantee if you're wide, it'll get you a full religion. It'll always get you a free pantheon. Settling on luxes now just feels even better. And, with that religion, you can obviously just like compete for a lot of the best beliefs. Like, you can get Salat on liberty, which is so dumb. But like, you could get like anything really. It actually synergizes incredibly well with missionary zeal because you're probably going to be around like 20 faith per turn or something on Jerusalem, and that's 3 and change turns to get 1 missionary, which will spread you the whole rel. So, and that you're founding really fast, so it's actually really good. The main reason to play the Civ, though, the Crusader is terrible. Like, It's just like the worst. It's actually the worst unit in the game, which is so funny because this Civ is so broken. It's easily like one of the best Civs, like top 3, and yet the unit is actually bad. Like it's actually just bad. The main reason to play the Civ though is the courthouse. In addition to the normal courthouse perks, it gives 2 culture, 2 faith, 2 happy, no gold maintenance. No gold maintenance is fucking crazy. That's usually -4 gold per turn. That becomes 0. This is 10 fucking yield. This is 10 yields without the honor bonus. Like you're building a 20 yield building if you build a courthouse on honor as fucking Jerusalem. Like it's ridiculous, man. It's so crazy that it's worth it to take city-states as liberty or as tradition, as this is. It's just worth it. I don't know. Yes. All right. What do we have next? Khmer. Khmer is a Civ, for sure. They receive a free beret and cap, which is good. So it gives you 10% food is carried over, so it's the pagoda effect. And then once you get drama, it's 2 food, 2 faith. And then you don't need fresh water. So it's really good. It's like, imagine like those shitty Indonesian ones, but better. And like, this isn't even the best part about the Civ, unlike Indonesia. See, this is why Indonesia is so bad, by the way. Anyway, so really good scaling Civ because it grows a lot. And then it also just has an insanely good unit. The Ballista Elephant is a replacement for a Treb. Treb, so it's got really good range strength, really high melee strength, and 3 move. So that's just awesome. And then it also receives Fear Elephant, which means enemy units adjacent to this unit receive a 10% minus combat penalty. It's a little more expensive, but it's just such a scary unit. You can just obliterate people as Khmer. It often, like, I might be underrating this, but I think this it's not that it's not good. It's just that I think there's other civs that are better. All right, Kilwa, 5% growth in the city for each foreign trade route. That's crazy. And then you get 4 gold from internal trade routes. So it fixes all the problems. It's like, do I want to send trade routes out and sacrifice food? No, not a problem. Do I want to send gold? Do I want to send trade routes inwards and lose the potential gold from sending them outwards? Again, not a problem. Really good Patro Civ, really good Commerce Civ. Just great. The Dow is actually really good. It's a caravel that is available in Compass and less to produce. So you can actually sail across the ocean without entering in astronomy, which is really funny for meme attacks. The attacks never work, but it can really blow up someone's game, which is really funny. The Coral Port is a workshop that can give 2 production on coral, 1 culture on fish, pearls, or crabs, or 2 gold on whales. So overall, just really, really strong. If you get coral, you're absolutely sitting pretty. A tier Civ for sure. Yeah, it just feels great. Like you're never gonna be like, oh shit, I'm picking Kilwa. It often feels like you're settling when you pick this Civ, but it's never bad. It's always very consistent. It's always very good. You generate a ton of gold in late game. Really, really strong Civ in the right circumstance. Just checking to see if any tourney games are not firing. So probably not going to get to play anymore, which sucks because I'm gone for the next 3 weeks. So this is the only chance I had to play any games. But Anyway. Congo. Borders naturally expand 33% faster. That's just really good. Saves you a lot of money. Though you don't really need it as Congo because you get so much money in a second. So the swordsman guarantees you won't be able to die at comps, which is nice because it takes double strength defending ranged attacks, but it can't attack. So it's just like impenetrable. And then the slave market, which is the coolest part about this civ, is it replaces the Colosseum. And instead of giving you happy, it gives you 4 production and 5 gold, which is a lot. And then once you get industrial, it's 3 more production and 2 gold. And no gold maintenance. So most cracked early building, probably, other than like the palace or something from Hungary in the game. But it subtracts 1 of your population. So you're playing a weird little game here where you're just trying to build these first in every single city. And then once you do, you try to catch up as fast as you can. But you're generating an absolute fuck ton of gold. You have a ton of hammers. Yeah. Overall, it is a civ that is very, very limited on happy. But it's very flexible. It can do a lot of things. It's a great piety civ because of the early hammers, but it's also a great, tradition civ because of the hammers, and it can grow back faster. It's good liberty civ. I think it's a really bad honor civ. I would just not play the civ honor ever, because honor has a ton of hammer. So anything except honor is great for it because honor is always happy capped. But anyway, Korea. 1 science from specialists, 2 science from great percentiles, and then 1 science in the palace. The 1 science in the palace is actually pretty significant for, getting, mining and sailing time and stuff like that. And then the rest of the bonuses are just you use. The watch is okay. It's really good for defending. And then the turtle ship just makes you pretty much unkillable at frigs. The turtle ship is actually the strongest unit in the game. Apparently, it's like on a per hammer basis, the turtle ship is just like the strongest unit, other than like a GDR. Overall, Civ's pretty shit. C tier. Lithuania. I've talked about this Civ so much, man. This Civ is so bad, and it's always been bad, and it's never been good, and it's just terrible. So you can't get a prophet, you can't found a religion, but the prophets you spawn turn into sacred groves, which are just the best tiles in the game. The only good thing about this Civ is the Pestininka, which is a pikeman that's 40 hammers instead of 60. That's the only thing. Worst Civ in the game. Macedonia. Okay, we can talk about Mace for a little bit because they just got changed. So the main change for Mace is that they no longer get a free Hitaroi at horseback, which is huge because you used to be able to terracotta it. Then you'd have 2, and then you'd go kill someone. And it was pretty much a guaranteed kill every time. Pretty much. Instead, the Hitaroi is just a normal general. So you can still buy them with faith. But it has the same bonuses as it did before. But it scales now, and I'm not going to get into the weeds here, but it's effectively like as you enter a new era, it scales with the strength of the average unit of the era. So when you enter modern, it becomes a land ship, effectively. It's 65 strength. So it's actually better than a land ship. Atomic, it's going to be 80. Info, it's going to be 100. So really, really, really strong, strong unit. But you don't get a free one anymore. The unit you has the pikeman is terrible. We're not going to talk about it. And then the ability is the main reason to play the Civ, where you get barracks and armories now produce 1 food, 1 culture, and 1 happy, which is so incredibly strong. It's the only civ I think in the whole game that needs to play honor. And other than that, you're just chilling. So I think even without the need to kill people, but with the better scaling on their generals, we're going to see our old friend back in S tier. Unsurprising to everyone. Madagascar, very hard civ for me to rank. There's a lot I like about it, and there's a lot I don't like about it. The main difference now is that purchasing units or buildings with faith is reduced by 33%. This does stack with mandate. And there's certain things that are just broken, like Jesuit, because you can buy libraries for 10 faith or whatever. And it's just probably one of the craziest things in the whole game. The holy site stuff, I'm not even going to bother talking about because I think it's pretty bad. Okay, someone just followed me. Interesting. Well, thank you for the follow. The main reason that the civ is so oppressive is because the unit is just stupid. It's a inquisitor on a faith civ, so you're always going to have a ton of faith to buy them, and they just can flood the map, and they're deceptively tanky. Like I was fighting Madagascar not too long ago, and he was coming at me with calves. And my knights and muskets were not one-shotting the fucking inquisitors, which are effectively the same strength as combos. I don't know how that happens. I think it's just dependent on what RNG promotion they hit, but it's bullshit. I can tell you that. I know it's bullshit. And then the Rova synergizes so well with the faith buying that it's great. It replaces the wall, and you can buy it with faith for 70 faith, which is very, very insignificant. And it gives 2 faith and 2 food in addition to the normal wall benefit, which is just awesome. So it's like kind of a little bit of like a feed the world, which is great. So I love it. I like the way the civ plays. The problem is it's piety forcing. And for that reason alone, we're going to put it in B tier. It's probably one of the most unfun civs in the whole game to play against. And for that reason, though, like it commonly gets banned, but it's pretty good. Manchu, hard for me to rank the civ because it scales so well, but it's pretty much a completely blank civ until then. Mounted, armored, and bombered units receive volley and pay no gold maintenance, which is genuinely significant. The bank is super cheap, 67 hammers, so it's 50% off. And boost gold output by 10% or by 35% rather than 25%. And then the cav is just really good. It's 5 move instead of 4. We just talked about why 5 is better than 4. The odd movements are better than even movements pretty much always. And then 36 strength was 34. Enterprise is great general, and it keeps all those abilities on upgrade. It can slam cities. It's awesome. It's really good. But it's hard for me to rank the civ highly because it's kind of like a proportion of like how good is the civ in the late game versus how weak is it going to be in the early game. Right? And the civs got literally nothing in the early game. So it's hard for me to rank it highly, but the late game is so scary that you kind of have to place it somewhere to respect it. So I'm going to put it like just under China, I think. That feels about right to me. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Next up, we have Miori. So in the beginning, you can get more ruins, which is nice. The Miori warrior gives Haka dance, which means enemy units adjacent receive 10% combat promotion, which is great. And then the main reason to play the civ, though, is the Pa. Available engineering, you build it on hills and can't be built on adjacent hills, adjacent to other improvements, but it gives 2 food, 1 faith, and then it gains an additional food at civil. So all your hills are now going to be 3 food, 2 hammer tiles, which is just really, really strong. And then 1 faith as well. So it gives you a free religion. And then units on the paw gain 40% defensive bonuses. So really, really, really strong improvement. It's also very defensive because when you create during the first 5 turns of a unit's, or sorry, during a first turn that a unit appears after the first 5 turns, units gain 2 movement. So that'll show, like, let's say it's an infantry. An infantry will have 4 over 2 move, right? If you are, the way the game works, if you are over the theoretical or the cited max, so the max amount of move for an infantry normally is 2, but with this it has 4. So if you're over 2 as an infantry, you can fortify anywhere. So that means you can create an infantry, move him in front of your city on that's got a road or something, and then fortify him on the turn that the unit is spawned, which is never been possible before. It's so good, in fact, that it can create some pretty impenetrable defensive structures, because the main way you push through infantry in forts is when they are not fortified. But when they are fortified, it is so brutal to push into infantry. And you're often forced to use generals. And then if you're in a general war, then it just gets really ugly. Okay. So all that being said, though, it's pretty. It just feels like a civ that barely just doesn't have enough to be in the top echelon, but it's still very strong. Maria. We've talked about this civ. I've played them a lot. So viewers of the channel know that I love this civ. All non-air units receive minus 10% combat bonus when attacking and a plus 10% combat bonus when defending. The worker is, it's the same as normal worker, except it has scout movement, which is just amazing. And then it has a unique monument, which costs 50% as much, but forces you to go pottery first. So all of that to say, Maria is broken. In fact, because this is an order meta that we're currently in, they're in S tier. I think last time they were in A. But because it's such a more defensive meta than it was previously, this civ is just so darn good at staying alive that, and their sim advantages in the beginning propel them to always get order. It's just so good. Okay, Maya. Maya's the same as it always has been. I don't want to get into it, like how it works, but effectively you just get a bunch of great people for free. Or it's not for free, but you get to spawn a bunch of great people whenever you want. The main reason the civ has always been good is the shrine. It is 2 faith instead of 1 faith and 2 science. Now it just got nerfed where it's, instead of 26 hammers, it's 32, which means on piety it's actually 18 instead of 13, which is kind of insignificant. This nerf is actually pretty good because it's mostly focused on the Liberty Maya stuff. That being said, Maya's still probably the best civ in the game for just normal Lekmod. The building is just the best building. It comes instantly. It's a building you always build, and it's the best version of that building. So it's pretty incredible with order. With the order changes, Maya can get some crazy science numbers. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this civ is so game warping. It's pretty bad for tourney play because it has just a huge target on its back. But I think for normal NQ, I am content putting it in the top spot. Um, again, I just know how consistent it is. I've had really really bad land with Maya, and I still just feel like I'm playing a different game. My Maya is a civ where you look up at the turn timer and you're like, huh, I thought it'd be turn 55 and instead it's turn 40. And that's just how the game goes. It's just like a, yeah, I don't know. It's a crazy civ. Mexico. So Mexico receives a free worker at Pottery. And then the other part of the UI or UA is pretty bad. The city state stuff is kind of useless, but the reveal city states within a 10 tile radius is actually pretty significant because it tells you like how to meet city states fast. It also indirectly tells you where the ruins are, because if you know where a bunch of city states are, you know the ruins can't be really that close to them. So it tells you to kind of go in the other direction for that. The influence stuff is kind of useless. Because the way it works now, it's a lot harder to do. They've made the modifier a lot different. It used to be that like a single spear could tribute and that would accumulate influence for you. Now it's like you need like 3 fucking spears or something. Like it's just not very good. The ranchero replaces the settler and it does not cause growth. Does not stop growth production. I will always say, and then the windmill is amazing, but it's a windmill, so take that with a grain of salt. I will always say Mexico is the most land dependent civ in the game. If you have a bad cap, you're going to have a really, really bad time. And because the UA is not working that well right now, I don't really like it that much. It's going to be like mid C for me, but I like playing them. They're fun, but if you get a bad cap, you just don't want to play anymore. So I've been kind of mentioning a little bit that the last patch made order good. And the way it made order good is by the best tier 3 policy for order now is no longer spaceflight engineers. It is something called command economy, which gives all strategic resources on the map for you +3 science, +3 hammers, and +1 gold. Okay. Mongolia, as everyone knows, gives all your cities a horse tile. Okay. So you get a horse tile in every single one of your cities as chivalry. So they objectively, on average, have the absolute most strategics in the game. And it's not even close. So you take that and you pair it with command economy and you create like this absolute demon of a fucking civ where almost all of the tiles on the maps are either bonus resources or strats, and they're all giving you an astronomical amount of yield. In addition to that, so that's why I'm prefacing this because I'm going to put my Mongolia really high. I've always said they're the most consistent honor civ, and their attack with the their late game with Khan and their attacks with Keshix and Khan combination is just demon. And its plains bias is a great bias. So they're very consistent honor civ, very consistent liberty civ. They just want to be wide, just perfect for order. All that to say, S tier. Is it better than golden? Yeah, probably. All right, Moors. We are, God, I hope we're over halfway. I think we are over halfway. I said I wasn't going to do this in one take. I still haven't decided. I'm like, my voice is starting to hurt. I've just been talking for like an hour and a half. Fuck me. Okay. Moors. Really cool civ. Cities gain 30% production towards buildings during medieval and 15% during Ren. That is crazy. In a word, like that is actually no civ is like that strong. And then the best part is they get this castle that gives you 10% food, so the Aztec bonus, and 3 base science. Unfortunately, you have to build walls, but that's no problem because you have 30% production in all of your cities. So with Golden Age, that's 50%. So your hammers are effectively 50% more what they normally would be in GA. So if you ever like Great Library Theology, you're going to be there pretty quick. Or you maybe go straight workshops with like Messenger or something. It's going to be pretty good. A lot of people think that you go castles before unis on this civ. I think that makes sense. I think it's a preference thing. The civ loves Neuschwanstein. It never has build queue problems, which is awesome. Synergizes amazing with order. Synergizes amazing with freedom because there's just so much culture. Because you've built because you've built everything. Like I mean, this is the funny thing is like when you build all the buildings, your game's gonna be pretty good. Like, yeah, go figure. The Grenadine Cav is like pretty bad. Overall, really strong civ. A tier. Morocco, I hate this civ. You get culture from trade routes, external trade routes, like that's it. The Kibosh is terrible. And then the Burberry Cav is actually crazy good. 50%, 25% combat bonus fighting in friendly territory, 50% fighting on floodplains or desert or oasis. Yeah, that's pretty good. These actually beat Cav. These beat land chips. These order Burberry Cav on desert in friendly territory beat autocracy land chips. It's crazy. But if you're in a situation where you have all that desert and stuff, your game probably sucks. So it's a weird civ. I think the civ itself is pretty bad. Some people live by it. Most people hate it. D tier. All right, another new civ. We got Mughals. Civs with a dominant foreign religion gain 1 science, 1 culture, 1 gold for every 4 population in that city, which is just incredible. Because oftentimes, like, towards the middle of the game, that's at least 8 followers, sometimes 12. So that's 2 science, 2 culture, 2 gold for in every single one of your cities if you take a foreign realm. The civ also interacts so strangely with, like, other civs in the game. Because if I'm playing with a Mughals player, I want to play Pilgrimage. Because why the fuck wouldn't I play Pilgrimage if someone wants a free rel? So you create like these weird games where like there's a Pilgrimage player, oftentimes when there's a Mughals player, which means the game is just accelerated so much faster than normal. It's pretty remarkable. In addition to that, their caravanserai is just absurd. So it has 5 city strength, 2 gold, 3 culture if there's a garrison. It's a really good honor civ for that reason, but it's just honestly a really good anything civ. Just 3 culture per city is just really good. And then they also have this cannon that oftentimes you don't even get to build because your game's too good. But it replaces the cannon. It costs 33% more, but it has 3 move and is stronger 23 range strength versus 20. So Mughals, really strong civ. I think it's a bit overhyped right now, probably by me, but I think right there is a good spot. It's definitely an A tier civ. Mysore, again, I feel like it's a weird civ because it's hill bias, which is usually good, but you're working so many specialists oftentimes that you want a lot of grassland farms to supplement those specialists that you're working. The reason being you gain 1 food and 1 production for each specialist you work as Mysore, but 50% more unhappiness. So it's pretty much a forced tradition civ. Oftentimes it's forced tradition Patro just to supplement the happy. It's just anti-wide. It's not actually tradition forcing. It's just more like not wide, which sucks. But it does have a crazy good arty. 23 melee strength versus 21, but doesn't need to set up. So it's a tanky arty that doesn't need to set up. It's just like, it's so demon, man. This unit just feels like the most unfun experience to play against. I just feel like a lot of the times when you're playing Mysore, you just have these weird situations where the game's like feels really slow because you don't have food and you're not growing. And in those kinds of games, it's not fun. At least if you're Austria, you can buy CS and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I've been in that situation more than a couple times with Mysore. It's at least a B tier Civ. Some people are gonna have it higher than I do. I just, in my experience, think that like it's not as consistent as I'd like. And then the Hermitage is great. Nabatea, freshwater farms at math rather than civil, which is cool. That means you get them, the freshwater farms, a lot earlier. If you're Liberty playing Nabatea, that means you don't need to push civils if you weren't planning to contest Chechen. There's a great profit first civ, profit finisher lib for that reason. The scout it gets has 3 move, but unfortunately cannot attack, which means it can't steal workers. So sometimes that creates some really unfortunate circumstances with warrior stealing. Like if you got unlucky with warrior stealing, like you're just kind of fucked. But and then you get a ton of gold. The civ is like just an early gold demon civ. It's got desert bias, which isn't great. And then the rock cut tomb replaces the caravanserai. It provides an additional gold and then 2 food in the city, and then gains an additional food for each trade route departing. So it's really good. Tons of food, tons of gold, lots of really good demos on this civ. Getting that civil a lot really early is great. Very consistent, especially with the gold early. So we're going to put it high B. Netherlands, another coastal boy. 1 happy for each Lux, 1 gold for each Lux. This kind of stuff just goes such a long way. I'm not going to talk much about the Sea Beggar because the Sea Beggar is, it's like an okay unit. It used to be a lot better, but now it's just fine. It's just a privateer that's a little bit better. But the UA is just really good. It like something having that consistent of an ability is just like incredible, especially with playing wide, especially with playing coast where you're always running out of gold, it seems like. And then the polder. Everyone kind of knows what polder is, but build it on floodplains, you build it on lakes, you build it on coastals adjacent to land tiles, you build it on marsh. It gives +3 food, or +2 food, sorry. 3 food is on marsh, and then it gains 1 production and 2 gold economics. So just really fun tiles. Really cool civ. Like criminally consistent civ. It's going to be an S tier coast for sure. New Zealand. Weird civ. The way it works is every time you meet a civ or a city state, you gain 10 faith, 6 culture, 40 gold, or 12 science. Problem is, or it's not really a problem, depending on which one you get, but the way that the RNG generates is it prioritizes one of those bonuses, and probably about 75% of all of the meeting rewards you get, quote unquote meeting rewards you get, are just going to be that one bonus. So worst case scenarios is, let's say it's faith. So it's 10 faith. That means like 75% of those meeting bonuses are just going to be faith, which is not particularly good. Now, if it was culture or gold, now we're talking. Like that's really fucking good. It's also a guaranteed faith pantheon most of the time. Sometimes it's not, which would suck, but most of the time. Really good tempo civ. I think tempo on the coast has kind of lost its flavor for me, and it's not nearly as good as it once was. I used to think the civ was the best coastal in the game, but they nerfed defenders, which were ironclads that don't require coal, which is still really good, but ironclads in general got nerfed, and then the defender itself got nerfed, so it's not nearly as good as it once was. Maori Battalion has always been strong. So anyway, good civ overall, but not what it used to be. We're going to put it in B tier. Normandy, I don't like this Civ, but I just probably haven't played it enough. So I think I've played the Civ. I've been playing Civ for a long time, and I think I've played every Civ at least 3 times, probably. Is that true? I don't think I've played Greece 3 times. I definitely have not played Normandy twice. Yeah, I think that's true. I played every other Civ at least 3 times. Maybe not Venice. Point being, not explored enough with Normandy, but every time I've seen them play, it's very forcing in what they want to do. Their Mont Bailey is pretty good, and the Pedite is pretty strong. But it's kind of a nothing Civ. But it does have 10% combat bonus outside friendly territory. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't like the Civ. I never would pick them. So I'm going to put them in D tier. I know Galfat's going to be really mad about this, but like I just don't play them enough. Like I don't have a good read on this Civ. So I'm going to be honest. Norway, 1 faith from coastal resources, 2 food, 2 production, 2 food, 1 production from snow. I don't know. They could make this 5 food, 5 production and still be balanced. Like I don't understand why this has to be so fucking bad. Like snow tiles literally have 0 yield. Now you're going to give them 2 food, 1 hammer. Who gives a shit? Like it's so stupid. Anyway, Norway obviously used to be an insane Civ, and then they took the temple, and then they gave it the tundra bonus. So 1 production from tundra and snow tiles if in a temple. I've had some really strong Norway games post change. It's very consistent because of the faith you get. You don't feel bad at all taking fishboat hammers. God of the Sea feels pretty good too. So it's seafood rituals, but you know, the flexibility you get by having that much faith gen is actually very nice. So I do appreciate that. The tundra stuff is cool, but building temples isn't fun. And then the ski infantry is just okay, but it does arrive with drill 2, which is really strong. So there's that. I don't know. It's hard to rank the Civ. I know they're not very good. We've talked about this a lot, but like all the coastals that we've listed so far are all like pretty strong, except for like these. So you know when we're looking at like where Norway would go, like is it better than Australia? No. Is it better than like? It's hard when you're like comparing them like 1-on-1. In aggregate, you'd be like, oh, Norway's pretty good. Like it should be a B. Like, well, no, because in context, it's not that strong. Okay, so we got a good bit left. Oh, guys, I don't know if I could do this. Nubia. I love this Civ. I think it's so good. I acknowledge that it's not the best. But yeah, I don't know. It's good. The blast furnace is strong. If you have a good amount of iron, it's really good. The bow allows you to get tremendous tempo because you start with it. So you just go like worker first or like monument first or something like that, and it feels pretty good. Yeah, I think the Civ is really good. It generates a lot of free tempo, but you know, if you don't have good land, I think it really hurts because your game is not going to be supplemented by anything else. The problem is your desert bias. So you're often like not going to have the best land anyway. But if you high roll land, like it's crazy. So we're gonna put it like in B tier. It's still a good Civ. I don't know. It's hard for me to put any higher. Oman, I've really grown to love this Civ lately. It just has a lot of free bonuses that are really good. Like it gets seaports and conquered cities. All naval units get ignore Zoc. The Bagla is just a top like 3 unit in the game for efficiency. It's so much stronger than a galley. that it can't even fairly be compared to one. And then you generate faith and gold from kills, so you can easily farm islands for a religion, even if you're not playing honor. But it's just an amazing honor civ, so I pretty much always click honor on the civ. Um, it's so good. And then the harbor is also crazy. Enemy naval units take 30 damage if they end their turn next to it, which is really, really, really like really good. Because oftentimes that's the best way to stop someone from counter pushing you is by flooding all the tiles. So anyway, also harbor, and this is the harbor. And then you gain 2 production for each trade route departing from the city and allows airlifting. So it's really good. But again, it's kind of a nothing civ in a lot of the time. So we're going to put it in B. It scales incredibly hard. It's probably the top 3 scaling coastal if you can get there. So it's also very scary. If they have if you're losing to Oman, you're so fucked. Ottomans. I have a number of games on Ottomans. I love this civ. 1 happy for each religion present in your city. So this is usually at least 2 happy per city, which is definitely nothing to slouch at. And then you receive faith when promoting units, equal to the amount of experience. So the main strategy here is you do Holy Warriors, and you go honor, or you don't even need honor, but you go some form of piety or honor or something, and you go Holy Warriors, and every time you promote a unit, right, it'll give you a certain amount of XP. So for instance, I build a barrack and an armory. I'm going to get 2 tiers of promotions. That's 30 XP. I'm going to get 30 faith for that. I'm going to build a whole round of units, and then I'm going to buy another one for free, because effectively upgrading those units just got me another unit. The main thing that makes this civ scary is the UU push comes a lot earlier than any other UU pushes that are this effective. So it's a musket and a lancer UU push. The lancer is available at printing, which makes it 10 times scarier, because now they just go straight to leaning and then go into gunpowder with their scientist, and then you bulb scientist enter gunpowder, 1 turn chem. Now you've got a disgustingly scary Sipahi, Janissary, and cannon attack that spawned out of thin air. Scary, scary, scary civ to play against. Very consistent attacking. It can be held with really good preparation, but you need muskets in forts, in chokes, ready to swap. And that's oftentimes pretty hard, because the Sipahi has 5 move and may pillage without penalty. So these things are just running rampant. They're also cheap as fuck, so you just build a ton of them. That's the main thing, is these units are so inexpensive and they're so good. So the Janissary is just amazing for pushing and holding tiles, right? Because the way it's an A-tier civ, absolutely, but the way it works is oftentimes when you're pushing with an infantry, right? Let's say you're pushing with infantry for whatever reason, and you have to get past a hill, and someone has an infantry on a fort, and you have 2 infantry, and they're flanking the 1 infantry in the fort, and maybe you shoot it twice with your rocket arty, and then you double slam with your infantry. Well, now your infantry that's on that hill that just took that tile, it can't pillage, and it's at around half health, because it just hit another infantry that was fortified. So the problem is that unit is now very vulnerable. Well, the Janissary gains 25% combat bonus when attacking, and it heals 50% from kills. So you are not taking as much, or you're doing a lot more damage per slam, and you're healing what you lost. So you're pretty much back at full health. And a Janissary on a hill is pretty hard to remove at that time. So it's very, very good at accumulating tiles. But if there's not a lot of tiles to take, rather, if there's a 1 tile choke or something like that, this civ is awful for pushing into, or for like pushing through that one tile choke. So it really depends on your land, but it can be either really scary or laughably bad. Palmyra. Cities provide fresh water to all adjacent tiles. Gardens, watermills, and hydro plants ignore those terrain requirements. Amphitheaters provide 2 gold, 1 production, 1 gold. 2 gold, 1 production, 1 gold, and 1 culture to oases. 1 production from lake tiles. Does not require gold maintenance. It's just great building. Then the Horseman's pretty cool because it gives heavy charge. So it's a really strong defensive unit. And it has 2 more combat strength, which is no joke. It's a super scary defensive unit. And then the bias is desert, which isn't great. Palmyra is very, very consistent. It's a very, very liberty leaning civ, but it can play pretty much anything very well. I like it a lot. I'm going to put it in A. Vatican. I don't understand how people like this civ. This courthouse shit is useless. The Swiss Guard is pretty useless too. The only nice thing about it is it comes with medic too. Basilica is just like a meme. I mean, it gives a cathedral, which is cool, and then it spawns a great prophet, which is, I guess, cool. But like, the main reason you pick this civ is to plant great people. And if you're planting great people, you're probably here. F. Persia. An old favorite. Golden Ages last 50% longer. During Golden Age, units receive 1 move. The bank gives 3 gold and 2 happy. So it's mostly just the happy you care about. And then the Immortal is just really strong. It's a spear that's 12 strength instead of 11, and then heals for an additional 10 HP when fortified. So really, really, really good. Very consistent. One of my favorite civs of all time. I also just like love the Persian Empire and stuff. So like S tier for me for sure. Love Persia. All right. Philippines. Crazy good civ. 2 movement in your own territory. The first 2 cities you settle gain 1 extra citizen. So really good sim benefits. The Guerrilla, 55 strength expeditionary force versus 40. And it has volley, and it has an extra move, and it has 3 extra movement when embarked, and 1 sight when embarked, and it keeps the abilities on upgrade. Like, I don't understand why there's so much shit on this unit, and it costs the same fucking amount. Like, what are we doing? Like, why? Like, this needs to cost more. Whatever. And then the zoo, available at Compass instead of Zoo, and provides 1 culture, 4 faith, 2, obviously the 2 happy, and then 15%, 15 extra XP. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Triple promos on Order and Freedom. Ha 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 ha. And then it's cheaper to make for some reason. I don't know. It's really dumb. I like this has like the Chile effect where it's just like there's just more and more and more and more and more and more stuff. And then you look at Indonesia and you're like, huh, yeah, we're all playing the same game here, aren't we? Anyway, Phoenicia, it gets a square sail ship. Apparently this unit's really scary and good, but I've never done that kind of thing. Cool thing about this ship though. So the square ship's great because it allows you to scout everything. And then when you get optics, when you settle a city, they get an extra citizen and you earn 50 gold. So it's just amazing, like granary first type civ. Really like this wide, really like it piety or liberty or something like that because the extra gold goes crazy on it. Overall, it's just really strong. The trade harbor is awesome, especially so it's like very good explosive because it just gives you 15% production towards naval units and 1 production for all coastal resources. Very good civ. I slept on the civ for a long time and I regret it. But yeah, it's definitely A. Some people might might make the claim that it's S, and you'd have to listen to them because that argument 100% could be made. Poland, social policies require 10% less culture. The Ducal Sable is just a good building. 15% for XP for mounted units, which is awesome. And then 1 gold for horse, sheep, cattle, and maize. So just great. Stable tile, just great stable city. And then no gold maintenance. So it's a really good gold civ. The Hussar is like a super scary unit. And it's plane bias. It's a really, really good civ. Very consistent. It used to be scarier when it used to get shock, because you could get shock and then you get shock for free. You take a second shock and then you take what the fuck? I'm blanking. I'm so dumb. I think it's not charge, is it? Maybe it's charge. I don't know. But it's like 33% from damaged units. So you would pretty much just be able to guarantee double slam into anything, and you would out damage that thing. And then that would push them back off the tile that they're trying to hold, or it would force them to take double damage. So it was just very lethal. Now that no longer has shock, it definitely feels more fair, but it's still pretty oppressive. The Civ does have really strong sim benefits, but again, it in like a different way. Like I feel like gold as a sim benefit isn't the best, right? Because it's like, okay, my upgrade's going to be better, but I'm going to be slower to get there, and my hammers are going to be worse. So it's like a weird balance. I think it's like a strong civ, absolutely, but like maybe this is about the same strength as Ottomans or something like that. Like maybe I don't know. It's really hard for me to. This whole range is kind of muddy. Maybe I should have added another tier here. I don't know. Okay, Poly, newly changed. I really like the changes here. Eep did a great job with this. So it still has the normal may embark and move through oceans immediately. You gain 1 movement, 2 sight, and double defensive strength. It's great. The problem is it hurts your ability to radar, but because you have so much move in the water and so much sight in the water, you can kind of see the outlines of islands or where like islands could be or something like that. So if you're like familiar with the map gen, you can kind of get a glimpse. It equates to a couple more runes in the early game, but those are going to be a little bit later because you have to contest the normal ruins first, and then you also have to find a balance for when you're going to scout. Like, it's a little complicated, but anyway. Units gain 10% combat bonus when fighting in within 2 tiles of the Moai. Very relevant because oftentimes you're getting attacked because you're going to try to win tourism or something like that. The Koa, the UU sucks. I'm not going to talk about it. The Moai is the main reason you play the Civ. Available at construction, must be built on land adjacent to the coast, and provides 1 culture and gains an additional 1 culture for each adjacent Moai. Gains 1 gold at flight, and then importantly at aesthetics 2, it gains an additional culture. So the culture from these tiles can get truly astronomical. And I think of all the civs in the game, this is my hunch, of all the civs in the game, Polynesia on paper could be the best civ, but people don't know how to play it, which is a crazy take. But like, I feel that the way to play Poly is so different than any other civ, and I feel like if someone wanted to, like, let's say like someone's like trying to get inspired to play this game, and you know, maybe it would be best for someone who's like not super familiar with the meta or something like that, because they're not going to be pigeonholed into thinking a certain way. But that person could look at it from a different eye and try to break the game with how to play Polynesia. Like, I think that's possible. I think it's on the table that Poly is just like so much better than what people think it is, because there's some, you know, niche, super weird way to play the game that no one would have expected. Like maybe it's like you don't even bother with aesthetics, you just go right into X-Blow, and then you pump out X-Blow 5 by like turn 75 or something like that. Like I don't know. I really don't know. The problem is with the Civ is that you're sacrificing a shitload of hammers to make a ton of culture, which often is worth it. But then what are you doing with that culture? That's ultimately the question. So anyway, cool Civ for sure. And the main thing that this Moai change fixed is that you can now build Moais on Luxes and strategics and bonus resources, and you can actually still, it's as if like you're improving them. So really, really great change. I love that. It allows you to settle how you want to on poly rather than like how you're obligated to maximize Moais. Whereas like previously, just for the record, like by the way, the Civ sucks, in my opinion. But again, I think the potential is still there. Like previously, you'd have to pretty much settle on Lux so that you could maximize Moais. And you'd have to like improve the horse first and stuff like that. So anyway, Portugal, caravans and cargoes are 33% less costly to produce and receive twice as much gold from resource diversity from trade routes. So it doesn't equate to that much, but it's about like 50% more effective trade route money on Portugal, which is awesome. The harbor gives 1 gold to coastal resources, and it also gives naval trained units 15 XP, which is great for triple promotion battleships. Doesn't require gold maintenance either. The main reason to play the Civ is the now, and it replaces the Caravel. But in addition to the normal Caravel perks, the now can do what's called a what's it called? It's like a shit. It's like a foreign trade or something like that. And what it does is if you go to the exact opposite side of the map, so like if you're bottom middle, go to the, or like let's say you're bottom left, you go to like the top right side of the map or something like that. So like the max amount of distances from your cap or where the boat came from. And you press commence trade route or whatever, it'll give you like 330 gold and a bunch of XP. So Portugal breaks the game. And I've said that about a couple things, but nothing like Portugal exists. The whole point of what you do when you play Portugal is unlike everything else. After unis, oftentimes I try to go to pork because I'm usually tall. But let's say I know pork's gone. I'm going to go right to astronomy. And all I'm going to do for the rest of the game until they're obsolete, which I think they obsolete at Ironclads. Until they are obsolete, I'm going to be pumping nows for the rest of the game. And I'm going to buy everything else. Because effectively, let's say I can one turn a now. Right? The entire time I'm one turning a now, and it takes like, I think it's like 5 or 6 turns to get to that place. That's max distance away. The entire time I'm building a now in my cap, and let's say it's one turn, just for sake of argument, it's 300 gold per turn. The entire time. And in my expanse, let's say it's 2 turns each. Let's say it's flat 2 turns. All my expanse, 150, 160 gold per turn. So I'm effectively on a 4-city game in that exact situation, I don't know, I'm at like 750 gold per turn, excluding all of the gold per turn that I'm getting anyway. It's ridiculous. It's, and then the worst part is, and if that's not good, if that's not bad enough, right? You know, like, oh, okay, like whatever. The worst part is you have all these boats left over. I've got 50 fucking boats. I literally had 50 boats in my last game. What do you think you do with 50 boats? You just go into the other coastal neighbor and you go, hello, bang, 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 slam them all into the fucking city, take the city, enter steam power, upgrade them all into ironclads, bang, 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 you kill the other coastal player. It's the most oppressive thing in the game, bar none. It's not fun to play. The nows aren't strong, but when you have 50 of anything, it's pretty fucking scary. It's not fun to play against. It's not even fun to play as. It's banned so often, but it is so scary. Coastal Estes. Prussia, kind of a nothing civ in my opinion. They've got cool promos and they get 50% food and production from internal trade routes, which is I guess something, but not really. Their factories are cheaper to make, which is nice. And their landwares, those units, the riflemen, are actually awesome. Like they're so good. And the promos scale really well with them because they get the attacking promo and stuff like that. It's like a pretty cool civ, but until you get to industrial, it's nothing civ. For the most part, like the production, like the bonus from trade routes, internals, and stuff like that isn't enough to really justify. I don't know. It's not great. It's cool. I think it's very similar to Manchuria in that sense. So we'll put them there. Romania, 10% combat against wounded foes, 25% culture in GA when you're in GA, bonus 25% culture in GA. And then you get 100 Golden Age points upon capturing or liberating a city. I think that's new. That used to be on Colombia for whatever reason. They also have the Vanator, which is a Gatling gun that has 2 strength or 2 range, which is insane. And then the Painted Monastery is a garden that provides 1 production, 2 faith, and 1 great artist point per turn, and does not require great freshwater. It's like all of these gardens are better than Indonesia's, and Indonesia's a worse civ. So you see why I hate them so much. Okay, Romania, pretty mediocre civ on average. I think they are fun to play for sure, and the Vanator is very scary. Because slamming them with Cav is not fun because they're really fucking strong. Like Gatling guns are just strong units. So anyway. Rome, another hard civ to play to rank because they're just very one-dimensional in what they want to do for the most part. They either want to go wide because they gain 25% production towards building any building that's already in the cap. And then they also get a Ballista and a Legion, which helps a lot with early war. So it's like an early war civ. It also scales really well, but it's, again, it just oftentimes feels like it's just not enough. I think it's very similar to Gaul in power level, so we'll put them next to Gaul. Russia just got nerfed, no longer gaining production from horses, but you can 1 turn improve any strat. You also get bonus strats when you are you get double strat, sorry, for all strategics except oil, which is really good, especially like aluminum and uranium. The Krepost, in addition to the normal perks, it also gives 1 culture, and now is less expensive. So I actually just played a tourney game as Honor Russia. The game went really well from a sim perspective. I love the new Krepost. I think it's really good. And the Cossack is obviously really good by gaining 25% to wounded foes. Yeah, so it's really, Russia's such a good civ. I think they got nerfed. I don't know how much. I don't think it's that much though. Like the horse nerf is really big. Like I'm not obviously it's really big, but the improvement thing still works on horses. So you improve your horses really fast. Your game just feels really fast. It feels really worker efficient. I don't really know where to place these guys, honestly. I think wherever I end up placing them, I'm going to regret placing them there. So I'm going to put them here. I think this feels fine. I think Huns is just kind of, it feels better than Russia. Is that even true? I don't know. Russia feels very, the Krepos, unlike before, the Krepos feels like an important part of the Civ now. Whereas Huns, the whole thing is the pastures, and Russia, I don't know. I think this is fine. I don't know. I'm going to regret that Russia placement. I know it. Scotland, Galglass, I don't like. People think it's good. I don't think it's good. I'm not going to talk about it. The UA is 2 production, 2 science, 2 culture from writers, artists, and musicians guilds, 33% faster GP gen in cap. And then the Sealed Hall, which is an opera, which provides an additional culture and 3 happy. Really good. It's hill bias. Look, I think the Civ has the makings of something good, but it's very trad focused. It's very, very trad leaning. Sorry. Um, Oftentimes you don't want to build your operas, but on a 3 happy opera, you're kind of forced to, and it's just as expensive as before. So it kind of fills your build queues. Maybe you build them instead of zoos or something like that, but then you don't have the happy for zoos. When you need the zoos, like I don't know, it's just like a weird civ. I find myself like not liking them that much. I think like D makes sense. I don't know. Some people like this civ, and for those people, I'm sorry, I don't really care. Shoshone, OP alert, OP alert. Founded city start with 4 additional tiles and 15% combat bonus in their own territory. Yep, that's never been a problem. Nope, nope, nope. Tons of gold effectively from the Civ. Really good anything on anything. The main reason that people like the Civ though is the Pathfinder because it allows you to pick what ruin you want. With the additional ruins now, it's not as straightforward as it used to be. It used to be you'd go pop, upgrade, gold, pop, upgrade gold, pop, upgrade gold. Now it's a little different because maybe you want to get that extra move on the thing to get your runes faster or something like that. But then you maybe if you do that, then you're foregoing an upgrade, and then you're like, well, now I don't have a combo, and like, so I think the rune changes made the Civ a little worse because it's less obvious of what is good, in almost a bad way because now you on average are picking something that's not as consistently correct just because there's more options that could be right. I don't know if that makes sense. And then the Comanche Rider, 5 move cav. Again, we've talked about how good 5 move is and less hammers to produce. So really good. Great Civ. Overpowered Civ, actually. They go in S. Where in S do we want to put them, actually? Probably here. Siam, I hate this Civ. 50% more food, culture, and happy from CS. Military CS arrive with an additional 10% XP and 50% faster. That is actually a big change. I think like Siam has the potential to be really, really strong in the late game if they have CS control. But the problem is they don't have anything that gives them gold or influence or stuff like that. They just get bonus. It's like getting. It's almost like, you know what it's like? It's like it's like a way worse whales bonus because whales like gets really good shit from sheep, right? But if they don't have the sheep, then it's just like, okay, well, this is nothing. The problem is whales have really good everything else. This Civ has nothing. So it's like if you have the result of being lucky or a good circumstance, then you're going to have an even better game. It's very much a win more thing for Siam. And for that, D tier. The elephant is really good though. And it's river bias, which is really strong. Sue, another broken Civ. I think the thing that makes Sue the most frustrating to play against is that they make bad land really good if it's plains. Regardless. Like if you have plains anywhere, it's probably going to be good because they have the best unique improvement in the whole game. Available at trapping. Must be adjacent to a luxury or on a flatland deer or bison. It's so much food. It's so much faith. It can be culture. It can be science. They have a plains bias. They have 15% combat bonus in plains. That includes the enemy land. Buffalo Hunter attacks are a thing, even though they're like only marginally better. And what I love about them is they can also create TPs, which help to sim out of the attack. Really, really, really strong Civ. It's another S tier Civ for us. I think it's actually going to be the last S tier Civ. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Songhai. I don't really feel like talking that much more about the Civ, but it's a river bias. I've talked a lot about them in the past, especially why they're so good in tournament, but they scale incredibly well into the late game just because of the fact that they don't get river movement penalty. They get triple gold from clearing barb camps and capturing cities, which is just insane. You know, like you can take 2 cities and get like over 1,000 gold. Like that's just stupid. Sometimes even more than that. In the late game, you can get like 1,000 gold from capturing 1 city. The pyramid, the temple gives 2 culture and no gold maintenance, which is awesome. And then the cav is like fine. Overall, I think the Civ is really good. Some people live or die by this Civ. River bias is also super, super strong. I'm going to put them in A tier right next to like 2 of my favorite Civs. I don't love them as much as like most enthusiasts, but I do acknowledge that they're really good. Spain, I think this is the most infamous Civ in the game. I've been banning them for a really long time. Just the double yield from Natural Wonders is so dumb, and then like you get 100 gold too is just like ridiculous. And the Circus makes them really, really strong from a consistency standpoint because of the culture it gives. And then the Tertio is awesome. It's got 50% bonus versus mounted units, and then it's also stronger. So it's just like it's very hard to die Cav with the Tertio existing. They need a lot of arty, and even if they have a lot of arty, the Cavs do not want to jump into that thing. So Spain's definitely an S tier Civ. Yeah, Coast. Gilgamesh, Sumeria. Spear is really good. You get it mining early, which is somewhat relevant, and it's super cheap. It's only 30 hammers. The Ziggurat gives 10% science, which is awesome. And then you get the main reason to play the Civ though is the 2 culture from every city on drama and poetry. It helps you push helps you push piety. It's a really good wide Civ just because of the base culture it gives. Really, really strong. In the right circumstances, I think this is another Civ that is looked down upon by a lot of people when I've had some of my best ever games as Sumeria. So I really like Sumeria. I respect Sumeria. I put them in B tier. Sweden, very weird Civ, especially with some of the changes it's made. You get 20% GP gen in all cities, and new, but you get 100% influence and 200 gold when gifting a great person to a city state. So this is really cool. This is like 100. This is completely new, and commonly now, you can play like piety or something and gift great people to like city states, like gift profits to city states, and it's just like insane for your game. The Caroline is pretty bad, and then the fellow Grava is an ironworks that gives 1 production to hills, which is good, but kind of a weird thing. I don't think this is particularly good. They're very gimmicky with the great people gifting stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Gonna put them here. Looks about right. Switzerland, merchant slots provide 2 production in science, which is genuinely pretty good. The ski resort is one of the best buildings. The problem is it comes really late. It comes at electricity, provides 3 happy, 3 culture, 5 tourism, and then bonus tourism for every mountain. And then it's 165 hammers. So super good. Super, super good. And then they also have like Switzerland's a really fun Civ because there's just like a lot of different things you can do. I think the problem is people focus too much in on this like merchant shit. But they could just be really good. Like they have a really good pre-build attack with armories, because the armory creates a unit, and then the armory also gives a certain promotion. So it's really cool. A really cool like attack. It's very unique attack timing. You know, you want to go at like I don't know, at like medieval junk, but a little later than that, and sometimes into cannons. It's pretty scary if the people perform it right. Overall, it's pretty predictable. The bonuses aren't amazing, It's a C tier civ for sure. I just don't really know where to put them. I think it's probably pretty close to this other merchant lot civ. They feel very similar to me. I think it's probably better though. Tibet, depending on when you're watching this video, I may or may not have posted a couple Tibet videos, but I've really, oh wait, oh, this is the wrong order. Oh, it's the UAE, UAE, we can do UAE first, but upon completing a world wonder, receive 100 gold and start a We Love the King Day. That's probably like the best part about this civ, honestly, is the We Love the King Day. Having consistent King Days is awesome. Units gain 3 gold per turn and 1 XP on tiles with a trade route. So that's actually pretty good too. It allows you to have a standing army and not get punished from a gold perspective. And it actually is better because it gives you them XP, which is nice. The Berg is, I'm not going to talk about, but it's just a hotel replacement. So if you're doing tourism, it's a big buff. And then the Kasami Raider is just a really oppressive privateer just because of how much move it has. So overall, it's a pretty shit civ. But I've had some good UAE games. So it just because I'm putting it in a bad tier doesn't mean you can't have a good game with it. It's just like on average going to be worse than other picks. So I've had some. I'm still looking for my good UAE tourism game. So eventually I'll get one of those. So I'm gonna play it, but not gonna expect much. All right, Tibet receives 2 production, 2 gold, 2 culture, 2 faith, 2 science in the capital when you get drama, and then when you get a new era, so into medieval, you get additional 1 +1 to all those yields. So that is pretty big because if you really prioritize getting drama early, that can really make your cap strong and help you push tech. And it's non-significant amount of faith to get for free, so it's actually pretty strong. But the reason to play this civ is for the Dalai Lama, which enables you to start golden ages, which is just amazing. Like, and it scales with, it starts a full golden age. So like if you start a GA with Chichen, it's going to be 12 turns with the Dalai Lama. So the way to think about this is not like an artist, because it's not another artist. It's a better artist, because a normal artist increases the amount of points needed for the next one. This is on a completely different track, but they kind of do the same thing. So it's as if you're getting 2 times the amount of artists you normally would, which is just insane. So, if you get Chichen, you're actually able to chain for the rest of the game. I think I chained as Liberty with Chichen from turn 70 to 145. And I had like 30 turns left or something like that, which is awesome. And then the monastery can be built on hills and provides 2 faith, 1 culture, and then an additional culture for each additional mountain, to each adjacent mountain. So I actually like building these on mountains or on hills next to mountains just for throughout the whole game. Pushing culture is really good. And then at theology, you get an additional faith, which helps you obviously stack up multiple, get more and more profits going. So I actually love this civ. I've grown to appreciate them a ton lately. They're very similar to that of Italy. I'm going to put them in top of B tier. If I got Tibet and Italy in the same draft and it wasn't a situation where I feel like I wanted to play tourism, I'd probably opt for Tibet. Timurids. 15% science, gold, culture, and the original cap. It's fine. And then the Sarai, instead of a caravanserai, provides 2 base gold and then 1 gold for every 3 citizens. So it actually is a lot of base gold in the city that does eventually get modified by markets and stuff like that, which is why Timurids always makes a ton of money. It also allows airlifting, which is pretty good, and increases the unit capacity by 1. So it's actually quite good. The main reason to play this civ, though, is for the Marahi Rider. It's a unit at Shiv that requires a horse, but has 5 range and 19 combat strength, and it's effectively a bomber.
So you can have horse bombers that obviously are fine to hit against pikes and stuff, but they can actually upgrade into Great War Bombers. It's the only civ in the game that allows you to upgrade into Great War Bombers. Very annoying civ to play against, but on a consistent, it's a hill bias civ, which is great, but on a consistency standpoint, it's pretty trad leaning, and those kinds of civs are very high rolly, very land dependent. So I'm gonna put them in around the top of C. Tonga, resting city state influence is increased by 5, which is great because if you go with Patro, Patro increases by 20, and then you pledge to protect them all. That gives you friends with every single city state, so that's good. And depending on what the city states are, that can be really, really a lot of yields. All islands, coastal tiles, and coastal adjacent land within 10 tile radius of your starting settler are revealed immediately. So that's awesome because it tells you pretty much what policy tree you need to be picking right from turn 0, which helps for a consistency standpoint a lot. The archer it gets is okay. It's got 3 move and 1 sight, and it's cheaper to construct. So it's pretty much just an alternative to a scout. I usually build 1 scout and then 1 of these. Because they don't have like better movement through jungle and stuff like that. So like they'll still get caught up in certain areas, but they can cover a lot of ground really fast. And then lastly, their granary, the main reason to play this civ, in my opinion, available at sailing, not pottery, and then provides 1 faith. In addition, it provides 2 food and 2 culture if the city is adjacent to at least coastal tiles. 3 coastal tiles. I will grief my city structure or my cities all the time for this, and I never regret it. I've never regretted a single time. It's easily an A tier civ. I think people don't grief their games enough, or quote unquote grief their games enough to fully use the civ. A tier. Another new civ, Tunisia. I don't know how to say that. I think the reason to play this civ is this UA. 100% food production and gold from land-based trade routes. Melee units spend at least 1 movement upon attacking a city. 1 less movement from attacking a city. So that helps a lot with privateers. But the main reason is this food and production stuff. So the reason Portugal is good is because one of the reasons Portugal's sim is good is because the cargoes are so much cheaper. This civ effectively has that because instead of building cargoes, they build caravans. Hold on, someone's DMing me. Is there a tourney game going? So it's effectively just a discounted, a heavily discounted cargo, which is awesome because you just build the caravan. And it also helps a ton because you can set them inlands. And I've found that if you settle inland coastals, or you settle inland as coastal, those inland cities are kind of just like twiddling their thumbs a lot of times, usually just build a bunch of workers. In this case, they can actually just build you all the cargoes you need, if cargoes, quote unquote. So it helps your sim dramatically. The Rabat, the castle sucks. I'm not going to talk about it. And then the Zebek is a privateer that allows you to capture ships, which is just broken. So I think the civ is really good. I've only played them once because they just came out, but I've had a really good experience. So anyway, easy A tier. Turkey. Ampi's operas, broadcast towers are built 50% faster. 1 science, 1 production. And then 1 science and 1 production from Great Works. Look, and their schools are cheaper. The civ is like pretty bad. Like I want to like them. I like tours. I like aesthetics, like themed civs in general. I just don't think the civ's that good. Like I've played them a lot. So anyway. What's next? Ukraine. I'm actually gonna finish. Wow. Ukraine. 1 food from wheat, maize, and salt. City connections provide 2 gold. Generally pretty good. Just small sim bonus. The Chachanka I don't think is that great. And then the market they get is fine. I think the Civ's too boring for me. I acknowledge that this is definitely too low of a ranking for Ukraine, but some people really like this Civ. I don't. It's fine. Let's see. Venice. This is the worst, or is it the second worst? I think it's the second worst. It's just like so boring. Like you get a free cargo ship once Compass is researched. Cool. I mean, you get the cargo ship for free. That's nice. And then East India comes at commerce or currency, which is good, but just terrible. So see you here. Vietnam. We are very quickly approaching the end here, which is exciting. Vietnam, 2 food, 1 production from marsh, 1 faith from jungle, and then units receive double movement, which is good. The Viet Cong is really good. Just know it's a super late game unit that just is like an infantry replacement, and it's really strong. And the Voki is just really good for making those marshes even better. But it's such a high roll Civ that I hate playing it, that I just am going to put it in D tier. I know it's better than this, but I hate playing the Civ, so it's D. Whales, I brought them up previously, but it's a very consistent Civ. The bonus from sheep is good, and then the units receive 10% combat bonus fighting on hills, which is also good. The crossbow is super strong. That's good. And then the care is the second best UI in the game. It's 3 gold, 1 culture, 1 production. And then 25% combat strength on the tile. 1 culture at acoustics. Super, super good. Super good. Like, ton of culture, ton of gold. Really, really good. The problem is you often are just like out of it. This would be higher if you weren't always out of food, because it's a hill bias Civ, so you're always just like low on food. Yugo, everyone knows Yugo because you all play it in single player, right? Because that's what you're practicing. Completely vanilla Civ until IDO, but at IDO it's really strong. It's got an ignore Zoc tank, which is good, and then the museum is 20% science in the city. No bias. I want to put this higher because I think the Civ is like kind of slept on, but I know it's bad. So it's going to be a D tier Civ for me, but it's pretty bad. Zimbabwe, again, this is like a weird Civ because I always have issues. I always have really good games with this. 25% production towards buildings and military units in the capital is really good. And then the warrior, which you want to build a bunch early anyway, because they're similar to the cost of a scout, can help you tribute and then also build farms and quarries. So like that's a pseudo worker almost later in the game. Stoneworks does not provide happy, but it provides 2 culture. And then it's hill bias. So just really strong, tall leaning, but it can also play wide really well. It's really good on honor because of those warriors. So it's going to be A tier for me. And then last but not least, Zulu. 50% gold maintenance on melee units, and then all units require 25% XP, less XP. So it's the easiest Civ in the game to get to air repair bombers with. The barrack allows for some stupid attacks, especially with these impies. It's hard for me to express how strong impies are because they attack twice. It really just like breaks the game. I think this would be higher if not for these order changes. These order changes have really slowed down the meta because you're less inclined to want to go for these attacks because you want to contest order. So Zulu used to be S tier. I think it's an A tier Civ now, just because of the IDO changes. But they're still very strong. The attack is just as potent as it's ever been, but you're just more likely to get capitalized on from having a slower or less efficient attack than you were previously. Because previously people would go auto, now people are going order. So anyway, this is your list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to hear as always, and I will catch you in the next one.